Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
One Piece Talent Copy System by dragonnx. In the vast and perilous world of One Piece, with a seas teeming with pirates, marines, and untold mysteries, a young man is given a second chance at life. Reincarnated into this fantastical universe, he discovers he possesses a unique and powerful copy talent system, an ability that allows him to copy the talents and skills of others, including Double Fruits. Member list: Taz Peterson, Yanko, Leilani Morris, Warlord, Garrick Russell, Warlord, Black Money Young Lion, Warlord, KSGPL 4YZ, Warlord, Adio.
Chapter 1 The Kingdom of Oikod, a member of the world government, is a very remote and small country. Usually peaceful and serene, this country is now a battlefield strewn with corpses and filled with the sound of cannon fire. Ever since Gold D. Roger, the Pirate King, uttered those enticing words on the execution platform, the dangerous Great Pirate Era had begun. Countless heinous people set sail, searching for the great treasure, causing havoc everywhere and producing one batch of ruthless pirates after another. The Kingdom of Oikod has frequently suffered from pirate invasions and massacres in recent years. A small village within the kingdom was reduced to ruins by pirate raids. At this moment, a small figure stumbled through the rubble. It was a little boy, his face covered in soot, his clothes tattered, looking very much like a little beggar. Noir's face was full of confusion. I transmigrated to the world of One Piece? Indeed, Noir was not originally from this world. He came from a mysterious country on Earth. A few hours ago, Noir was just an ordinary college student, but for some unknown reason, he was transported into the world of One Piece. I was just looking at study materials at midnight. Did it have to electrocute me? Noir angrily shouted at the sky. And couldn't you send me to a better world? Why send me to a place where disaster strikes at any moment? Noir sat on the ruins, hugging his knees, his slight figure looking lonely, helpless, and pitiful. Feeling the cold touch around his neck, Noir's heart stirred, and he gently tugged at the tag to examine it. This was the only thing he had brought with him to this world. It had his birth date engraved on it and his full name written in a flamboyant style. Kairos D. Noir. D. Noir instantly noticed that intriguing and mysterious letter. When he saw the D, he immediately thought of the legend about the D family in the original work. Everyone with a D in their name was a formidable character. Luffy, Ace, Roger, Garp, and so on. But even if I have D in my name, how can I develop now? I'm only 3 years old. After complaining, Noir waved his short little hands in frustration. Although he was only 3, it was fortunate that his physique was not that of an ordinary child. Despite his age, he was already nearly 1.2 meters tall. In his previous life, Noir would have thought this was due to hormones, but in this world, he felt it was still not enough. In this world, many children have abnormal physiques at 7 or 8 years old. Just then, a voice suddenly echoed in Noir's mind out of nowhere. Ding! System loaded, talent copy system successfully activated. Noir was stunned, then immediately overjoyed. A golden finger, though late, it has arrived. Having read so many novels, how could he not know about systems? Reaching the pinnacle of life, marrying a breathtaking beauty, punching the Yonko, and kicking the admirals, everything seemed within reach. System, introduce yourself, Noir said excitedly. This system is the talent copy system, capable of copying and acquiring the special talents of everyone in this world. Special talents? Noir said. But a golden finger is better than none. Noir then asked, what talents do I have now? The talent panel has been opened. Please check, host. A translucent light screen suddenly appeared before Noir, divided into 7 columns from top to bottom. The first column flickered with purple light, with a few lines of text. Otherworldly visitor. Purple quality, non-removable. A youth from another world who knows many vital figures and stories of this world as if he were a god. Blessed with an otherworldly aura. His innate charm starts at 80 points and increases by 1 point each year until it reaches the maximum value, unaffected by age or external factors. What is this? System, what does purple quality mean? Are there higher qualities? Noir asked, puzzled. There are 5 quality levels for talents, from lowest to highest: white, blue, purple, red, and gold. The host's innate talent is of purple quality. Noir nodded in understanding, but this purple talent seemed to have no connection to combat power. But at least Noir confirmed that he would be a handsome guy in the future. In addition, the host can have up to 7 talents. If there are more, the old ones must be replaced. When the host interacts with important figures or plotlines of this world, the system will reward talent copy cards. The cards come in 5 colors and can copy talents of corresponding qualities. There will also be many rewards related to characters and plotlines. Sounds not bad. But what about this charm value of 80? How do I check it? System. Opening host's panel. Host, Kairos D Noir ability stats. Charm, 80, max. 100, physique, 80, max. 999, possessed talent, otherworldly visitor. That's it? Isn't this personal panel a bit too simplistic? Just 2 stats? At this moment, the system's voice helpfully sounded again. As the host learns new abilities, the system will update the data in real time. Noir sighed helplessly. So, I currently have no abilities? Alright, you got me there. Right, what about the newbie gift pack? Noir suddenly remembered and slapped his thigh. With a golden finger, how could there be no newbie benefits? System, where is my newbie gift pack? Noir asked expectantly. After a moment of silence, the system responded. Congratulations, host, you have received the newbie gift pack, white quality talent, stamina enhancement. Stamina enhancement. White quality. Your stamina is enhanced, giving even a child unexpected strength and endurance. Noir waited eagerly for more, but nothing else. Is the newbie gift pack just a white talent? This system sure has its quirks. Stamina enhancement? My stamina is already beyond your imagination? The greedy Noir stomped his feet in anger. If the system had feelings, it would surely cry. System. Originally, there wasn't even a hair of a newbie reward. Squeezing out that little bit was hard enough for me. Noir, having fussed for a while, felt hungry. After all, he was in a 3-year-old's body. He needed to find something to eat. Rubbing his belly, Noir stood up and continued to search the ruins for supplies. Unbeknownst to Noir, a pair of bright eyes watched him vigilantly from a distance. Chapter 2. Noir was naturally unaware of the peeping from a distance. The owner of those bright eyes had short purple hair, and her petite body looked like it could be blown away by the wind. She seemed to be around Noir's age. In her arms, she held a little girl who looked just about a year old, with tufts of orange hair on her tiny head. The orange-haired little girl had a dirty face, looking pitiful as she tugged at her sister's arm and spoke in a voice that seemed filled with milk scent. Sister, I'm hungry. The older sister frowned upon hearing this, looked at Noir's receding figure, bit her lip, and softly said, Be good, don't talk. Let's follow him. Thus, the 2 tiny human cubs stealthily followed behind Noir. After walking for a while, the clueless Noir finally sensed something was wrong. Why did it feel like there was a mischievous child's aura approaching? Frowning, Noir slowed down and suddenly turned around. Huh? There was nothing there, just a ruined wall with a purple and an orange tuft of hair sticking out. Raising an eyebrow, Noir pretended not to notice, walking calmly, then suddenly turning back again. 2 tufts of short hair, like wildflowers, stuck out, looking like 2 little mushrooms from a distance. Noir almost burst into laughter. Intending to play with them, he turned around and quickly turned back again after taking a step. Then, a 1-year-old cub jumped out right before his eyes. Upon seeing Noir looking at them, the older sister quickly pulled her adorable little sibling back. Noir chuckled and said to the hiding girls, Come out, I saw you. The 2 little figures trembled, then slowly emerged from behind the wall. A big and a small girl? Are they war orphans? Noir tried to smile as gently as possible as he approached the girls. Why are you following me? He asked softly. The orange-haired little girl hid behind her sister while the older girl, a head shorter than Noir, looked up and said, We are looking for something to eat. Something to eat? Noir was stunned. He was starving himself and had no idea where to find food. I don't have anything on me right now. How about we keep walking together and see if we can find something? The girls didn't respond immediately. Noir scratched his head and added, If you don't want to, that's fine. As he turned to leave, the 2 girls hesitated but eventually followed him at a cautious distance. Noir noticed their quiet trust and felt a bit relieved. After all, they were just kids and more likely to believe in others. As they walked, the smell of decay and burnt flesh grew stronger, nearly causing them to gag. Bloodstains appeared more frequently on the ground, and Noir even stumbled upon several corpses. Despite his fear, Noir couldn't show it with the girls behind him. He took a deep breath and searched the bodies with trembling hands. He found a pirate's corpse, covered in knife wounds and blood, a sailor's bandana on its head. The face was twisted in a horrifying expression, but Noir was relieved to find a small bundle tied to the waist. He untied the bundle with shaky hands and found a piece of nearly dry bread inside. Swallowing his saliva, Noir looked at the eager faces of the girls and sighed. Here, you take this, he said, handing them the bread. The older girl politely took the bread, bowing in thanks before handing it to her younger sister. They shared the bread piece by piece. Noir, having gained some experience, resumed searching the bodies. As more corpses appeared, they managed to find more food, and the bond between Noir and the sisters grew stronger. The 3 sought shelter as darkness fell, finding a place to rest for the night. The sisters huddled together, and Noir smiled at their resilience despite the grim circumstances. Thanks to his enhanced stamina ability, Noir wasn't as exhausted as he might have been. This ability, for now, seemed to be quite helpful. In the distant sea, a marine battleship was slowly approaching. A pink-haired girl in a marine uniform stood on the deck, gazing blankly at the sky. Nearby, a group of marine soldiers whispered worriedly about her. Is Belmere going to be okay? She hasn't eaten in days. She'll collapse at this rate. Well, considering what happened to her previous unit. Shush, keep it down. Belmere seemed oblivious to the concerned murmurs. Her usually mischievous eyes were clouded with sorrow. Attention! The ship's commanding officer suddenly barked, and the soldiers swiftly formed a neat line on the deck, Belmere included. Private Belmere. Yes, sir. A look of determination replaced Belmere's previous sorrow. You will lead a team to scout the village on the island. The rest will follow me to support the kingdom's interior. Yes, sir. As they prepared to depart, Belmere approached the commanding officer. Sir, about my resignation. The officer's expression softened. Are you sure you want to leave? You have a bright future ahead of you. Belmere shook her head silently. Your entire unit was wiped out. You are the only survivor. You should live on for their sake. The officer's tone grew emotional, but seeing Belmere's downcast demeanor, he relented. Think it over carefully. Yes, sir. Belmere stared at the war-torn land, contemplating the meaning of survival. Back on the battlefield, Noir was jolted awake by approaching footsteps. The two girls, sensing the disturbance, woke up as well. The steps grew closer, and Noir, suppressing his fear, broke into a cold sweat. Shielding the little girls behind him, he bit his lip and squinted into the distance. Marine uniforms. That person is Belmere. No way. Could these girls be? 140 Chapter 3. Could these girls be Nami and Najiko? In the original story, Belmere was a marine who found and adopted the orphaned Najiko and Nami during a battle. Could it be that this was the very moment? Belmere looked curiously at the three children before her. What were kids doing in the middle of a battlefield? War orphans? Two adorable little girls and a precocious little boy? Belmere chuckled, ruffling Noir's hair and squeezing his arms and legs like a playful thug. Noir looked annoyed. What the heck, haven't you ever seen the biceps of a 3-year-old? Nami and Najiko peeked out from behind Noir, curious and cautious about the young woman in her 20s standing before them. Belmere, without hesitation, scooped them up into a warm hug, her face beaming with joy. What's your name? She asked, smiling. Najiko looked down sadly. I don't know. I was an orphan even before the war. I see. Belmere thought for a moment, holding Najiko's tiny hand. From now on, your name will be Najiko. She then gently patted Nami's head, and you'll be Nami, Nami-chan. Finally, she turned to Noir and asked, how old are you, little one? Noir held up the pendant around his neck. My name is Noir. I'm 3 years old. I don't know where my family is. 3 years old? Belmere sized him up. You've grown pretty fast for your age. Noir rolled his eyes. Have you grown fast? You've never seen Big Mom as a kid. My size wouldn't even fill her mouth. As Noir's thoughts wandered, Belmere suddenly hugged him and the sisters. Noir was stunned, then heard Belmere's gentle whisper. Don't worry, from now on, Belmere will protect you. Noir's emotions surged. In the original story, Belmere kept her promise, sacrificing herself to protect Nami and Najiko from Arlong. She was a strong and nurturing figure. Initially, Noir felt detached from this world and its characters. But now, Belmere's warm embrace made him realize that this world was real and filled with genuine human connections. His tense nerves finally relaxed, and he drifted into a peaceful sleep, barely hearing the system's notification. Significant character interaction detected. Rewards being issued. Had Noir been awake, he would have noticed the system's voice sounding unusually gentle. Belmere watched the children settle down, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. She said, indeed, as long as you live, there are many wonderful things to experience. Belmere completed her final mission as a Marine and officially left the service. This time, no one worried about her well-being. Everyone saw a new determination in her eyes. Belmere bid farewell to the Marines and set off with Noir and the girls towards her hometown. On the tranquil sea, a small boat drifted peacefully. Noir lay inside, counting his recent rewards. Significant storyline interaction, Belmere adopts sisters. Rewards issued, 1 gold talent replication card, 3 white talent replication cards, physique plus 1/5. Significant character interactions, Nami, Belmere, Najiko. Rewards issued, 1 red talent replication card, 1 purple talent replication card, 1 blue talent replication card, 1 bag of superior orange seeds. Noir scratched his head in confusion. System, why so many replication cards? Is there a pattern? The quality of replication cards corresponds to the significance of the storyline interactions. Belmere adopting the sisters greatly affects Nami's survival, hence the high significance. Meeting key characters increases rewards based on their involvement in the world's storyline. I got it, so I must meet the prominent cast members more often. And the seeds? It makes sense, considering Belmere and her daughter's connection to oranges. As for physique plus 1-5. System, open my panel. Show all stats. Host. Kairos D Noir stats. Charm. 80, max 100. Physique. 95, max 999. Inventory. Golden Talent Replication Card 1. Red Talent Replication Card 1. Purple Talent Replication Card 1. Blue Talent Replication Card 1. White Talent Replication Card 3. A bag of premium orange seeds abilities. Otherworldly Visitor asterisk. Purple quality. As a boy from another world, you possess a godlike knowledge of this world's significant figures and their stories. With the aura of an outsider, your charm automatically starts at 80 points, increasing by 1 point each year until it reaches its maximum, unaffected by age or external factors. Stamina enhancement asterisk. White quality. Your stamina has improved, giving you extraordinary physical strength and endurance even as a child. Noir nodded with satisfaction. Although the attributes were still somewhat lacking, they finally looked more substantial. How is this constitution calculated, system? The ever-dutiful system quickly explained. Constitution value only measures physical strength and excludes other abilities. A score of 1 to 99 represents an ordinary person. A score of 100 to 299 means you are strong enough to venture out to sea and engage in deadly battles, like Usopp. A score of 300 to 499 qualifies as a monstrous constitution, sufficient to fight leisurely in the first half of the Grand Line, and injuries can be quickly recovered from sleeping and eating, similar to Luffy and Zoro from 2 years ago. A score of 500 to 699 can secure a foothold in the New World and create a territory, typically at the level of the chief officers of the 4 Emperors' pirate crews. A score of 700 to 899 can dominate a region, capable of defeating most people through constitution alone, like Garp, Whitebeard, and Shanks. A score of 900 to 999 nearly constitutes an immortal being, invulnerable to conventional attacks and possessing extreme self-healing abilities, like Kaido and Big Mom. So, my constitution score of 95 is quite pitiful. However, small increments add up, and my constitution score will eventually rise. Lost in thought, Noir was startled by Nejiko's warm voice outside the cabin. Brother, come see Belmere's fishing, Chapter 4. Noir quickly responded, coming. Addressing this matter naturally, Noir and the 2 girls had gone through thick and thin together, now becoming a family. They called him brother these days, but Belmere refused to be called mom, arguing it made her sound old. Given that Belmere was only 21, it made sense. In a past life, she'd just be starting her beautiful life. Noir stepped out of the cabin and saw the trio sitting leisurely by the side of the boat, each holding a fishing rod. Suddenly, he remembered he hadn't checked the talents of others since his system awakened. System, check the talents of Belmere, Nejiko, and Nami. Check complete. Talent panels are now open for the host. Name. Belmere, heroine, blue quality. Despite being a woman, Belmere possesses the willpower and combat skills comparable to men. When single, her combat skill learning efficiency doubles. Maternal radiance, blue quality. As a mother, Belmere gains a 30% combat power boost when fighting to protect her children. Her children will likely develop kind and strong personalities but will inevitably have undesirable traits. Name. Nejiko, elder sister's authority, blue quality. As an older sister, Nejiko has a natural ability to dominate Nami, doubling the success rate of comforting, encouraging, and persuading her. Seeing their talents, Noir was speechless. His replication cards seemed useless. None of these talents suited a man. If he copied them, would he become a heroine, a great mother, or an authoritative sister? Feeling slightly frustrated, Noir's mood improved when he saw Nami's talent. Name. Nami, climate supersensitivity, red quality. Nami can sense the air with her body and predict various weather changes. Under normal circumstances, her weather predictions are flawless, making shipwrecks due to weather nearly impossible. Red talent. Indeed, the little beauty is the true faith of this sea. The original work often depicted Nami's exceptional navigation skills. Even with limited knowledge from East Blue, she excelled as a navigator, effortlessly sailing through the Grand Line's complex weather patterns. Most navigators rely on extensive knowledge and experience, but Nami's talent makes her a climate queen, ideally avoiding the Grand Line's disasters. Even Princess Vivi, experienced as she was, admired Nami's talent. Gold Lion shamelessly kidnapped her for it. Noir stared at the red glow on the virtual panel, laughing maniacally. Belmere and her daughters turned to watch Noir laugh hysterically on the ground. Nejiko asked, confused, is he crazy? Nami, clinging to Belmere's arm, nodded thoughtfully. Cough, cough. Realizing his unbecoming behavior, Noir stood up and calmly walked over. Belmir handed him a fishing rod, and he sat beside Nami. System: extract the red talent replication card. A faint light flashed, and a red card appeared in Noir's hand. He quickly hid it and touched Nami's head. Ding! Replication successful. The card dissolved, and Noir felt an immediate change. The air seemed alive, the wind communicating its temperature, humidity, and other factors. He could sense the surrounding climate changes as if a naked beauty stood before him. Blocking this was impossible. Noir closed his eyes, enjoying the sensation of, the weather. The east blue weather was less complex than the Grand Line, making the journey pleasant and comfortable. In this warm atmosphere, the four soon returned to Belmir's hometown, Kokoyashi Village, a peaceful and beautiful haven. In the pirate world, peace and beauty are often disrupted. About 9 years later, the Arlong pirates invaded, bringing Arlong's brutal rule. Belmir died protecting Nami and Najiko, leaving a lasting scar on their hearts. Seeing Belmir's gentle profile, Noir swore to prevent this tragedy from happening. 9 years left. If I have Luffy's strength at 12 and 9 years, I can fight back. Despite the pressure, Noir felt reassured by the system. Belmir's boat docked, and she led the children into the village. Villagers warmly greeted her, though their words were often harsh. Our delinquent girl isn't kicked out, is she? She must have beaten up her superior. Although the villagers' words were harsh, Noir could feel their concern. Belmir cheerfully responded to them while Nami and Najiko, sensing the goodwill, curiously looked around. Suddenly, a puzzled voice called out, Belmir? Belmir, surprised, said, Gen-san? Are you still the village policeman? Noir turned to see a middle-aged man in shorts and a short-sleeved police uniform, with a mustache and a severe and surprised expression. He was the same Gen-san from the original, who always had a windmill on his head to make Nami laugh. Curious, Noir immediately checked Gen-san's talents. Name: Gen, Village Police Combat Techniques, White Quality. General learned the combat techniques passed down by the Kokoyashi Village Police. Focus on 1, White Quality. General has an innate meticulousness. When focusing on a single task, his concentration and efficiency increase. Combat Techniques? Does a village policeman have combat techniques? 140 Chapter 5 Noir furrowed his brow and asked, System: does martial arts count as a talent? The system recognizes both innate talents and acquired skills. As long as the ability is rare in this world and only possessed by a special group of people, it can be copied by the system. Additionally, innate talents determine a person's potential upper limits, and everyone has at least one. Acquired talents, on the other hand, can improve in quality through training. Noir nodded. Gen's village police combat skills were rare enough to be considered a talent. Gen hesitated and pointed to the 3 children, asking, Belmir, who are they? They are the children I adopted. Children? Gen was surprised. But you're still so young. Belmir patted his shoulder casually and smiled. No worries, I'm quite good at raising kids. But isn't this child a bit too old? Gen pointed curiously at Noir, who slapped his hand away, saying, My name is Noir, and I'm only 3 years old. Taking advantage of the moment, Noir quickly took out 2 duplicate cards and copied Gen's white talents. After all, finding someone in Kokoyashi Village with some combat prowess to copy was not easy, so there was no need to hesitate. Just as he felt the sting of losing 2 cards, Nami, who was dozing in Belmir's arms, yawned, glanced at the grinning Gen, and started crying. Gen scratched his head awkwardly while Belmir soothed Nami and chided Gen, Mr. Gen, why did you scare Nami? I didn't. After some commotion, Nami was finally pacified, and Belmir led them home. Belmir's house, located on the outskirts, was a moderately sized home that soon came into view. After tidying up a room, Noir finally had a home. Najiko and Nami hopped around curiously while Noir found Belmir in the backyard. We still need to plant some oranges. I wonder if there are any seeds left in the warehouse, Belmir mused, looking at her large backyard. Noir suddenly remembered the system's rewards and retrieved the seeds. Pretending he had just arrived, he dragged the bag over and called, Belmir, are you looking for these? Belmir turned around, surprised to see Noir with a bag of seeds. She took a handful, examined them, and exclaimed delightfully, These are exactly what I needed, Noir. You're so clever. During dinner, the family ate joyously together. Thinking back to the days of scavenging to survive seemed like a distant dream. Noir took a bite of his food, looking at the cheerful trio of mother and daughters, and couldn't help but smile. From that point on, Noir settled down. His physique increased, and with the focus-only talent, he started learning swordsmanship. To his surprise, he wasn't bad at it. Though not on Zoro's level, Noir was not disappointed. The system also began tracking his swordsmanship progress. Thus, Noir trained in swordsmanship and village police combat skills, with his physique growing swiftly as he aged. Time flew by. Years passed, and Noir turned 10 in the blink of an eye. He became a handsome young man, living up to Bellemer's expectations. His height growth slowed, but he had already surpassed 180 centimeters, which even made Bellemer marvel. Raising a child for 7 years, and he's already taller than me. What should I do? Over the years, Noir honed his skills and sparred with the village's strong men. Unsurprisingly, he was undefeated in the town by the age of 10. Villagers marveled, saying Bellemer's household had produced a fighting prodigy. Due to Noir's impressive combat skills, Bellemer relaxed her control over him, allowing him more freedom. However, Nijiko and Nami weren't as lucky and remained under her watchful eye. Despite Nami's persistent pleas for Noir to take her out to play, he firmly refused, knowing Bellemer's fists were no joke. When Kokoyashi village fishermen went to sea, Noir eagerly followed. Sitting on the deck, he reviewed his stats. Host. Kairos D. Noir ability values. Charm. 87, max 100. Physique. 213, max 999. Swordsmanship. 150, max 999. Possessions. Gold talent duplicate card 1, purple talent duplicate card 1, blue talent duplicate card 1, white talent duplicate card 1. Talents. Otherworldly visitor, energy boost, climate perception, focus only, village police combat skills. Noir was quite satisfied with his progress over the past 7 years. His physique and swordsmanship surpassed 100, and his charm increased by 7 points thanks to the otherworldly visitor talent. He estimated that if he were to become a pirate now, his bounty would likely be in the millions. However, he knew it wasn't enough. With 2 years left until Arlong's invasion, he needed to raise at least one of his stats to above 300 for a chance at victory. One downside Noir discovered about the system was that it required strong opponents to copy better talents. However, in Kokoyashi village, no strong individuals were left. He could easily defeat them all. Noir. There's a big one here. Give us a hand. The fisherman excitedly called out to the sighing Noir as they spotted a giant fish. Coming, Noir responded, but before he could act, the massive fish surfaced, revealing a menacing head, blood-red eyes, and dripping fangs. This was no ordinary fish. It was a miniature sea king. The fisherman would have fled in the past, but times had changed. Time for a meal. Look at that meat, it'll be delicious steamed. You're crazy. Grilled fish is the best. The sea king glared at them, thinking, you treat me as prey, yet you want to grill me? Furious, the sea king lashed out with its tail, creating a powerful surge. However, the fisherman remained unflustered. As the massive tail descended upon the boat, a flash of silver light sliced through the air. The Sea King's eyes widened in shock as it saw the human leaping into the air and then looked at its own body, now separated and drifting apart. Actually, steamed is fine. This was the Sea King's last thought. 140 Chapter 6. Noir leapt onto the boat, his gleaming blade slowly sliding back into its sheath. Behind him, the dismembered Sea King fell into the water, landing in a net the fisherman had prepared. One strike and done. The fishermen got busy, such a stunning kill seemed routine to them. After all, this 10-year-old was the strongest person in Kokoyashi village. Noir lay at the boat's bow, cheerfully watching the bustling activity around him. Whoosh! A piercing howl suddenly echoed across the sea, and Noir's eyes narrowed. Could it be? Boom! A violent shockwave erupted next to the fishing boat, sending up a towering spray of water that drenched everyone on board. Cannon fire! Noir steadied himself against the ship's railing and peered into the distance. A massive black boat was slowly approaching. Smoke still billowed from a cannon on its side. The black flag flying above was particularly striking. A stark white skull on a black background, a pirate flag. Pirates? Noir straightened up, gripping his sword, his face darkening with anger. We are getting hit with a cannon shot for no reason. Who wouldn't be furious? But the good news was, this pirate crew wasn't the Arlong pirates. I've always been the one to fire cannons at others. No one has dared fire at me. Fuming, Noir shouted to the panicked fishermen on board, head back to the village. I'm going to show them what cruelty means. On the pirate ship, a scar-faced man with a sinister grin turned to the captain and said, Captain, look at those guys panicking. Seeing the barbarian bear pirate crew's flag makes them scared out of their wits. The man addressed as the captain was a burly man with a beer belly, his face full of brutish features. I am Barbarian Bear Kembra, and everyone must get out of my way. Captain Kembra laughed arrogantly, pointing a thick finger at the fishing boat and shouting, board that ship, then storm the village and take everything you can. Oh, the crew of miscreants howled in unison, springing into action. The burly sailors hurled several grappling hooks, latching onto the fishing boat and creating a path. Board the ship, men, Kembra roared, his yellow teeth bared in a vile grin. A swarm of pirates, like locusts, surged across the ropes. Noir frowned and said to the fisherman, I'll cut the ropes. You go back to the village and warn everyone. I'll handle these guys. Without waiting for a response, Noir sprang towards the ropes and charged at the pirates. "Noir!" the fisherman called out, but Noir didn't listen. He had been craving a real fight for a long time. The fishermen exchanged anxious glances until one of them finally said, "Let's go back to the village for reinforcements." Noir charged at the pirate ship, gripping his sword sheath with his left hand, slashing with his right, and cutting through the ropes in a flash. A chorus of screams erupted as pirates fell into the sea, but Noir's advance didn't slow. He sprinted along the remaining rope towards his enemies. Seeing the kid take down many of his men, Kembra was enraged. "What are you lot doing? Chop him into pieces and toss him overboard." Several steel blades swung at Noir, but he remained unfazed. His sword danced like a snake, deflecting all the attacks. In the blink of an eye, his blade cut through the pirates, leaving crimson gashes that sprayed blood into the air. The pirates fell into the sea like dumplings, unconscious. Noir, born amidst death, wasn't fazed by this level of slaughter. "What?" Kembra stared in shock at Noir, who stood like a one-man army. The scar-faced man beside him was too terrified to speak. Seeing his men retreat in fear, Kembra roared, "You useless cowards, get him! I'll give you a hand." Noir's young voice rang out, sending chills down the pirates' spines. He leapt over the attacking pirates and landed on their ship like a phantom. With one hand on the deck and the other gripping his blood-stained sword, Noir looked up at Kembra with a chilling smile. "Hello, the pirate captain." He stared intently at Kembra, then turned and cut the last rope. Seeing this, the fisherman's boat turned and returned to the village. Ignoring the screams of the falling pirates, Noir pointed his sword at the scar-faced man next to Kembra. "Was it you who fired that cannon at me?" The man's face turned deathly pale, and he frantically shook his head. No, it wasn't intentional. I was just, arg." Kembra, his face dark, punched the scar-faced man, sending him crashing into the deck, his fate unknown. The surrounding pirates fell silent, and Noir raised an eyebrow, mocking, "What, you kill your men?" Kembra sneered, "Useless trash isn't fit to be my crew." "Kid, want to join my pirate crew?" Noir was taken aback, smiled, and said, "Your pirate crew? Are you famous?" Kembra laughed wildly without answering, and his crew joined in. One of them pulled out a yellowed wanted poster from his pants and proudly declared, "Our captain is a super pirate with a bounty of 15 million berries. Captain of the Barbarian Bear pirate crew, known as Barbarian Bear, Kembra. Even the East Blue Overlord Krieg is no match for our captain." With a wave of Kembra's hand, the laughter stopped abruptly. He then extended his invitation to Noir. "Krieg is no match for me. I will become the new overlord of the East Blue, but that's not the end. I will easily defeat everyone, find the One Piece, and become the Pirate King. Kid, join me." Noir watched Kembra's performance with a look of disdain. At first, he thought this guy's bounty was something impressive. East Blue Overlord? Pirate King? A super pirate with a 15 million berries bounty? Just a frog in a well who had never seen the world. Even someone as strong as Zoro had to face Mihawk to realize his limitations. Luffy, with his protagonist Halo, had to endure crushing defeats and the pain of losing his brother before realizing his powerlessness. In that light, this ignorant pirate's delusions were almost understandable. Noir looked up and smiled at Kembra. Seeing Noir's smile, Kembra thought he had agreed, but then Noir's harsh words shattered his illusion. "You will not become the overlord of the East Blue, nor will you become the Pirate King. Your journey of crime ends here. By my hand." Chapter 7. Upon hearing these words, Kembra's face darkened once again. His heart no longer raced, and his hands steadied. Glaring fiercely at Noir, he spat, "Kid, what did you say?" Noir smiled softly, gripping his sword tightly, and declared, "I will defeat you and make my way to the Grand Line." "Don't push your luck, brat." Kembra suddenly lunged, his fist crashing down towards Noir with tremendous force. Noir, unwilling to take the blow head-on, quickly leapt to the side to dodge. The powerful punch smashed into the deck, shattering the wooden planks and sending splinters flying towards Noir's face. Such strength! Noir's heart tightened. Despite his outward disdain for this man, he remained vigilant. Just from this display of brute strength, Kembra's words might not be entirely false. Perhaps he wasn't much weaker than the East Blue Overlord, Don Krieg. At this moment, a pirate underling handed Kembra a pair of gloves, which he swiftly put on. These were iron gloves, fully protecting his fists. Taking advantage of Kembra's distraction, Noir launched a quick attack. Noir leapt up and swung his sword down with immense force, backed by his formidable physique, the blade descending like a meteor. However, Kembra was unfazed, raising his iron-clad hand to meet the blade. Clang! A loud clash of metal on metal echoed, sparks flying everywhere. Kembra remained unharmed while the shock left Noir's hands aching. Kembra clutched the sword blade tightly, looking at Noir's grim expression, and sneered. "Kid, you got some strength, but it's not enough. With a sudden flex of his arm muscles, Kembra threw Noir and his sword away in one swift motion. Noir stabilized himself midair and landed on the ship's edge. This guy's strength is too great, a head-on clash won't work. A glint of determination flashed in Noir's eyes as he dashed towards Kembra again. Didn't learn your lesson? Kembra roared in fury, delivering another sweeping punch just as Noir's body twisted back, his sword rotating in his hand. With a reversed grip, Noir, in a highly twisted posture, plunged his sword into Kembra's body. Sliding forward, Noir's blade left a long gash on Kembra. Arg! Kembra released a thunderous howl of pain, driving Noir back with another punch. Holding his wound, he glared with bloodshot eyes and bellowed, "Damn it, I'll kill you." Having dodged to the side, Noir rested his sword on his shoulder, taunting, "Kill me? Go ahead and try." Arg! Kembra charged at him like a towering mountain, exerting a formidable pressure. Noir sidestepped again, ducking as the iron fist whooshed past his head, lifting his hair. Despite the intense pressure, Noir remained calm, slashing at Kembra's knee. Kembra, wary after the first strike, quickly retracted his leg, but Noir used the momentum to smash the sword hilt into his shin. With force applied, Kembra's legs split into a painful split, leaving him howling in agony. "Wow, sounds like a howling dog," Noir chuckled. Kembra's henchman helped him up, glaring at Noir. He growled, "You thoroughly pissed me off, kid. I'll tear you to pieces." Suddenly, his body began to swell, his clothes tearing apart, muscles bulging, and coarse hair sprouting, his mouth protruding. In no time, Kembra transformed into a fierce-looking beastman. "Have I turned into a bear? A devil fruit user?" The surrounding pirates started clamoring. "You're dead, kid. This is the power of God. Behold the mighty, grisly Kembra, who can transform into a powerful bearman. Die, brat." "I see why pirates need underlings now," Noir thought, the noise around him like annoying buzzing mosquitoes. Beyond annoyance, they set the scene ablaze. Noir didn't dare underestimate him, quickly using the system to check Kembra's abilities. Name: Kembra Brute Strength. White talent: Kembra has immense strength but sacrifices intelligence, reflexes, and speed as a trade-off. Demon Host Bear. Blue talent: having consumed the zone-type Devil Fruit Bear Fruit, is endowed with the power of the demon, capable of 3-stage transformations into bear form, human form, and bear-human hybrid form. Sea's Curse. Purple talent, with the demonic power, comes to a curse that attracts the ocean's ire, rendering him powerless upon contact with seawater, unable to use his abilities actively. A Devil Fruit power considered a talent? This was Noir's first encounter with a Devil Fruit user, the talent slots being unique. So, do those who consume a Devil Fruit get 2 talents, Demon Host, and Sea's Curse? Wait, of these 2 talents, one is the fruit's ability, and the other is its drawback. I should be able to. Kembra saw Noir motionless and thought he was paralyzed with fear. He raised a huge paw and struck towards Noir's head. Noir snapped out of it, raising his sword to block Kembra's paw. But their strength levels were worlds apart. Noir's sword quickly deformed under the pressure, the bare paw slamming him down to the deck. Noir's body smashed through several layers of the ship's planks, landing at the bottom. Cough. Noir spat out blood, looking up at Kembra above. I got careless. Activated, Kembra's physique showed no weaknesses, his speed, strength, and reflexes had more than doubled. With his sword nearly broken, Noir decided to discard it. He then stealthily took out a blue copy card from the system. He needed to copy Kembra's Demon Host ability. It was his only chance at victory. Kembra leapt down, landing heavily in front of Noir. In his intimidating bear-man form and his grotesque face, even Noir felt a twinge of nervousness. Through years of familiarity with the system, Noir knew the copy card required physical contact to copy an opponent's talent. He had to get close to Kembra once more. Chapter 8. Noir adjusted his breathing and launched a barehanded attack at the bearman, Kembra's lower body. Annoying fly, Kembra sneered, lowering his head and kicking at Noir. Noir quickly rolled forward, dodging the attack, and reached for Kembra's waist with a card. Startled, Kembra punched at Noir, who narrowly avoided the blow, unaware that another bear paw was coming at him from the side. Bang! Noir's pupils contracted suddenly as he felt as if a bomb had exploded inside him. His bones and lungs were hit hard, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Noir was sent flying, crashing through several obstacles, and buried under wooden planks. Kembra laughed wildly. Brat, is that all you got? Ha ha ha. Kembra turned, intending to leave. Aren't you just the same? A calm voice interrupted his laugh, stopping it abruptly. As the smoke cleared, Noir pushed the planks off himself, his will undiminished and his spirit seemingly stronger, standing there like a spear. Seeing Noir, who appeared unharmed, Kembra began to doubt himself. Did I hold back? How can he be fine after taking 2 hits from me? Is Noir excellent? Of course not. Noir stood there, feeling like he couldn't move. Another movement might break his bones. So what if you're fine? Can you withstand more of my punches? Noir smiled slightly, maybe not before, but now, it's uncertain. Huh? Kembro was puzzled, about to ask, when he noticed Noir's body changing. Brown bare fur, long tusks, and a vast stature. Everything was too familiar. Why? Why do you have my power? Kembra yelled in jealousy and confusion, seeing Noir's increased power. I have to thank you for that punch. Noir thought. Thankfully, I stuck the copy card on him when he hit me. Otherwise, this would have been a considerable loss. Impossible, only I can have this power, give it back. Kembra charged at him like an angry bear. Noir didn't dodge this time, raising his arms to meet him head-on. Boom! The powerful shock wave scattered the surrounding ship's fragments, sending the pirates watching above tumbling. This battle was far beyond what these small fry could handle. Below deck, the excited Noir and the furious Kembro were locked in a fierce melee. Punch for punch, kick for kick, claw for claw, bite for bite, headbutt for groin kick. Both abandoned defense, Noir to test his power and Kembra in a blind rage, wanting only to kill Noir. After another round of attacks, Noir realized something was wrong. The Bearman form from the Devil Inheritance talent was inferior to Kembra's Bearman form. It seems the system can only copy the Devil Fruit ability, not the user's development. But this is already OP after all, he copied only the Devil Inheritance talent, not the Curse of the Sea. This means that he can become a Devil Fruit user without fearing the sea in the future. Moreover, since the system defines Devil Fruit abilities as talents, he can absorb more talents and become a multi-ability user. In battle, Kembra grew more muscular, while the heavily injured Noir's condition worsened, and he began to be suppressed. Soon, Noir felt his strength depleting, struggling to maintain his Bearman form. However, in this terrain, Noir had a chance to counterattack. Die! Kembra punched Noir again, pursuing him like a mad dog. It's so annoying, it's time for the ace. Noir clenched his fists and smashed the ship's bottom with a bear smash. Seawater flooded in instantly, but Noir kept enlarging the hole. The seawater woke Kembra up, and a wave of weakness hit him. He couldn't maintain his Bearman form and quickly reverted to normal. In terror, Kembra shouted, "What are you doing? Do you want to die with me?" But soon, he was even more terrified when he saw that Noir's Bearman form remained intact. Waist deep in seawater, Noir stepped closer. He reached out, grabbed Kembra soaking in the seawater, and smiled villainously. The tall and strong bear man Noir pressed Kembra underwater with a bare paw. "No, don't, no," Kembra's eyes bulged as he spoke, his mouth bubbling madly, but his voice couldn't come out. Noir held him down with one hand while the other punched Kembra's submerged body repeatedly. Like a machine, Noir kept repeating the action. Finally, when the sea around him turned red, and Kembra stopped struggling, he let go. The unrecognizable Kembra floated on the water, and his life as a Devil Fruit user ended. The pirate ship started sinking. Exhausted, Noir reverted to his original form and struggled back to the deck. As he returned, the previously ignored pirate minions swarmed at him, shouting, "Kill him, avenge the captain." Noir sneered, "You watched the whole time and now talk about revenge?" Just as Noir gathered his strength to deal with the small fry, a terrifying aura surged behind him. Boom! The aura nearly materialized, crashing over everyone. The pirate minions fell instantly. Noir, already exhausted, collapsed, unable to even move a finger. But he recognized this power. Conqueror's Haki, and in this era, the only one with Conqueror's Haki in the East Blue is. "Hey, kid, I helped you out." A young man stood before him. Seeing his red hair, Noir immediately recognized him. The future Yonko, red-haired Shanks. Noir noticed his missing arm. He must have just returned from visiting Luffy. "So, I helped you. Can you help me?" Noir was silent momentarily, then said, "What is it?" "My pirate ship is lost. Do you know where it is?" Noir. 140 Chapter 9 Did you lose your pirate ship? Are you kidding me? I think it's you who's lost. I'm sorry, but I don't know where your ship is, Noir said with an embarrassed yet polite smile. Alright, I'll take you to shore first. Shanks sighed, grabbed Noir with his arm and jumped into the sea. Damn, even someone as strong as you have to swim? But Noir underestimated Shanks. With a light tap of his long, hairy leg on the water's surface, a massive wave exploded beneath him, propelling them forward with tremendous force. With each step, a wave rose behind them. Noir watched the scene in disbelief, his eyes almost popping out of his head. Was I the fool all along? Have I been living under a rock? Despite his shock, Noir didn't forget to use his talent probe on Shanks. Name: Shanks Sovereign's Presence, Gold Quality. Born with an extraordinary aura, Shanks's mastery of Haki is rapid. He is destined to awaken Conqueror's Haki at 17. Each victory in battle randomly enhances one of the 3 types of Haki. Ocean's pride, gold quality, the freest and broadest-minded person on the sea, Shanks is highly likely to encounter fortuitous events while traveling. His charisma significantly increases, allowing him to make the best decisions in critical moments. His willpower and hoki's strength increased by 10% during naval battles. Will of the air, red quality. As the inheritor of the Pirate King's will, Shanks bears a significant responsibility. His determination is unwavering, reducing his hoki consumption in battle by 60%. After passing on his will, this effect changes to a 30% increase in overall hoki capacity. Hoki swordsmanship, purple quality, deeply versed in swordsmanship, Shanks's skills are enhanced by hoki, increasing their power and lethality. Training in swordsmanship also randomly boosts one of his hoki types. Oh, my goodness, a golden legend. No wonder Shanks became one of the 4 strongest pirates in the New World at such a young age. 4 talents, with 2 golds, 1 red, and 1 purple. No wonder he's so powerful. On shore, Noir lay exhausted on the ground, chatting intermittently with Shanks, who gazed at the distant sea. My name is Noir. What's yours, big brother? I'm Shanks, a pirate and the captain of a pirate crew. Curious, Noir asked, how did you lose your pirate ship? Shanks grew angry at the mention of this, fuming as he explained, it's all because my crew is too foolish. I just napped on the shore, and the ship was gone. I don't know where my crew wandered off to. Hearing his predicament, Noir fell silent momentarily before saying quietly, do you think, maybe, just maybe, your crew might have left you behind? A deathly silence fell. It bothers me that you didn't think of that possibility, did you? Noir silently mocked in his mind. Don't be sad. Your crew is probably just playing a prank on you. They'll be back to get you soon, he comforted Shanks, who had suddenly become despondent while plotting how to copy Shanks's talents. He was out of red copy cards but still had a gold one. He didn't want to waste the purple one either. Both could be used on Shanks. However, the system required physical contact to copy talents. And Shanks, a master of all 3 hoki types, could probably kill him before he managed to touch him with the copy card. Noir held the 2 cards in his hand, his brain racing. Slapping the card on Shanks wouldn't work. He needed a reason, a way to do it subtly. Hey, what's this? Like discovering a new continent, Shanks snatched the cards from Noir's hand with lightning speed. The gold and purple cards melted and disappeared almost instantly. Ding! The purple talent, hoki swordsmanship, has been successfully copied. Multiple gold talents detected. Please choose one. Noir. Well, that was simpler than expected, Noir thought. He quickly explained to Shanks that the cards were just trinkets, like toys. Shanks didn't pay much attention, feeling no discomfort anyway. Noir breathed a sigh of relief and began choosing from Shanks's gold talents. It didn't take long for him to decide. Sovereign's Presence and Ocean's Pride were excellent. The first would give Noir an innate aptitude for hoki, ensuring mastery of all 3 types, with a particular advantage in training Conqueror's hoki. The second would make Noir an exceptional captain and increase the strength of his hoki by 10%. This 10% boost could turn the tide of a battle, especially for someone at the level of the 4 emperors. But for Noir, the first talent, Sovereign's Presence, was more appealing. He had shown great talent so far but couldn't predict the future. This talent would secure his hoki training, a crucial power system in the world of pirates. Moreover, Arlong's pirate crew would arrive in 2 years, and he needed significant power boosts. The 10% boost from Ocean's Pride couldn't compare to the potential growth from Sovereign's Presence after 2 years of training. I've made my choice. Ding, your talent slots are full. Please choose an existing talent to replace them. Replace Stamina Boost. Noir had long found that skill useless. With the gold and purple talents now part of him, Noir quickly felt changes within himself. First, his swordsmanship. His understanding of swordsmanship grew immensely. His skill level jumped from 150 to 206 points, a massive increase. He had trained for 7 years to reach 150 points, but now, with this talent, he had gained over 50 points instantly. Next, Noir felt a mysterious power close yet elusive. Hey, over here. I'm here. A pirate ship approached from the distance. Noir squinted and saw it was Shanks's crew. Shanks happily patted Noir's shoulder. Thank you, Noir, they came back for me. 140 Chapter 10 Noir almost couldn't resist rolling his eyes. Thanks, but there's no need. Your crew probably threw you overboard to scare you. Noir recognized most of the people on the pirate ship. The fat guy always holding a drumstick, Usopp's father Usopp, and the first mate Ben Beckman were all there, among others. Several other crew members, whose names Noir couldn't remember, were standing on the ship, mercilessly mocking Shanks. What's the matter, Captain? Did you swim all the way here? With one arm, Captain, you'd better not show off too much. Noir's face was lined with exasperation at the jeers, but Shanks showed no reaction, instead joining in the laughter wholeheartedly. Shanks leapt onto the ship, and as the pirate ship gradually sailed away from the shore, Noir waved goodbye to him. Shanks' bright smile always had a way of infecting those around him. He waved back at Noir, shouting, "Noir, once you enter the Grand Line, come find me." Huh? How does he know I plan to enter the Grand Line? Noir recalled mentioning it during his battle with Kembra. Had Shanks been there already? I didn't notice at all. It seems that, even without my intervention, Kembra's crew would have been defeated by Shanks' passing crew before they could invade the village. Poor bastards. Smiling, Noir bid farewell to Shanks and his crew. Suddenly, the system's notification sound interrupted the moment. Ding! Important person Shanks recognized. System reward. Haki Awakening Intro *1, Constitution +15. What? Haki? Excited, Noir opened the system and found a new section under Swordsmanship, Haki. 10, Max 99. The previously elusive power now felt within his grasp. This is the power of Haki. This fishing trip yielded quite a haul of rewards. Golden, purple, and blue talents, and now Haki Awakening was a great surprise. While Noir happily counted his rewards, the fisherman returned, with many villagers rushing to support him. Among them was his mother, Belmere. Belmere hurried over. Worry etched on her face as she saw his severe injuries. Her face darkened with concern. Noir quickly reassured her, "It's okay, Belmere, it doesn't hurt anymore." Turning her head away, Belmere stubbornly said, "I don't care about you." In just a short while, how did a good kid turn into a bloody mess? Do you know how worried I was when everyone came looking for me? Listening to Belmere's nagging, Noir played dumb, smiling foolishly without retorting. Seeing his expression, Belmere rolled her eyes and lightly knocked on his head, asking, "Where are those pirates? Did you lose the fight?" Noir quickly laughed appealingly. "How could I lose? I'm Belmere's child." Pointing to the distant sea, he said, "I cared for them all. The pirate ship has sunk." Belmere nodded and the villagers excitedly chimed in. "Noir is amazing, defeating them so quickly. Exactly, those pirates looked so fierce." Enough talking. Let's get Noir back to the village to treat his wounds. With the villagers' support, Belmere helped Noir back to the village, laying him down in the village clinic. Belmere stayed by his side, comforting him. "You need to get better quickly. We're planning a celebration for your big catch and defeating those pirates." Wrapped up like a mummy, Noir weakly protested, "Actually, my injuries aren't serious." Trying to get up, Noir was forced back down by Belmere's stern glare. "Oni-chan." A sweet voice called out, and Noir knew who it was without turning his head. A small orange-haired figure burst through the door, shouting as she ran in, flopping onto Noir's chest like a little ball. "Ow!" Noir yelped as he felt his wounds reopen. 7 years had passed, and Nami had grown from a fragile little girl into a lively, healthy child. Nami lay on Noir's chest with short orange hair, looking up with big teary eyes and a runny nose. In a tearful tone, petite Nami cried, "Oni-chan, don't die." With a face full of exasperation, Noir pulled Nami off him and tossed her aside, exclaiming, "I'm just injured, I'm not dying." Really? Hearing this, Nami immediately stopped crying, wiped her tears and snot with her chubby hands, and then happily ran out to play again. "Jen-san, I want your windmill." Listening to the laughter of his silly sister outside, Noir felt like banging his head against the wall. But thankfully, he had two sisters. Nijiko, wearing a blue sundress and a headband, stood by the bed, looking at Noir's injuries with concern, asking, "Oni-chan, are you okay?" Noir sighed inwardly. This is the real gentle sister. As for the carefree petite Nami, forget it, let's not mention her. Noir gently ruffled Nijiko's hair, softly saying, "I'm fine. Those pirates aren't that tough." Nijiko nodded, looking at Noir with admiration. "I heard, Oni-chan is amazing, sinking an entire pirate ship." Noir and Nijiko were the same age, but Noir had always cared for his sisters, so everyone treated him as the older brother. On the battlefield, Nijiko was holding Nami when Noir found them and provided for them. Nami was too young to remember, but Nijiko remembered it clearly. So, from childhood to adulthood, Nijiko's most admired person was Noir. In her eyes, her brother could do anything. Even more than Belmere, in Belmere's home, Noir's #1 little follower was Nijiko. As for Nami, she only stuck to Noir when she needed something from him. Noir happily chatted with Nijiko by his bed while Belmere watched her children with a sunny smile. A capable son and 2 daughters, one naughty and one gentle, Belmere was very content. This was the life she wanted. Chapter 11. Belmere ultimately didn't let Noir stay in bed all night, he still went to the village feast. The culture of feasts in the pirate world was quite appealing. At least 1 or 2 banquets were held for every festival or harvest. Noir and his siblings could play to their heart's content during these times. Only during such events would Belmere allow Noir to have a drink with the villagers. Nijiko and Nami, with their adorable looks, would always get plenty of treats and toys from the adults. Of course, due to his injuries this time, Noir couldn't drink and enjoy himself. By the time the feast ended, it was already past midnight. Belmire and Noir each carried a tired sister home. Back at home, Noir decided to talk to Belmire. "What, you want to go into seclusion for 2 years?" Belmire looked at her son in surprise. Noir nodded. He had been thinking about this for a long time. Now, with the power of the devil fruit and his extraordinary talent in swordsmanship and hockey, it was time to focus on his growth. "Child, you're already strong enough." Belmire held his hand, worried. "Don't put so much pressure on yourself." Belmire always knew that Noir seemed to have something on his mind since she adopted him. He never relaxed in training, as if a burden weighed him down. This used to make her very upset. "You're my child, do you think I can't protect you?" "Don't worry, Belmire. Just 2 years, nothing will happen," Noir reassured her softly. Belmire fell silent, but Noir knew she agreed. She never interfered with any of her children's decisions. But she would always be there for them until they succeeded or returned tired to her embrace. Noir's eyes showed guilt, but quickly hid it, secretly swearing. 2 years. After dealing with Arlong, I'll have a good time with you. From then on, the villagers of Kokoyasi felt something was missing. That brat no longer shouted challenges, stole drinks, or practiced swordsmanship in sight. Everyone felt a bit uneasy. Noir found an isolated island in the nearby sea, full of fierce beasts and a harsh natural environment. He planned to stay there for a while. 2 years could change many things. 2 years were enough for Luffy to become the 5th emperor of the new world from a simpleton, for Zoro to become a great swordsman with few rivals, and for Nami and Robin to grow into beautiful women. Everything changed with time. In those 2 years, the so-called weakest sea, the East Blue, saw the rise of many fierce pirates. Though cannon fodder in the Grand Line, they still rampaged freely in East Blue. The Marines, enforcing justice for the world government, couldn't keep up with the pirates' emergence. In this sense, Roger, who started the Great Pirate Era, was a menace. One sentence sparked countless people's greed, sending them to seek an elusive treasure, often meeting their end at sea. It also led to many homes being destroyed by pirates and families torn apart. No matter Roger's true intent, he indeed carried this sin. Though some pirates weren't after the One Piece but just luxury, the world still blamed Roger for giving them an excuse. An excuse to follow the massive wave of the era. In the original story, the Marines opposed the protagonists, which didn't make them villains. On the contrary, without the Marines' just actions, East Blue would be in even more chaos. But in this world, creating evil was far more accessible than fostering good. So, ending this chaotic Great Pirate Era wouldn't be easy. And among the Marines, not all were just peacekeepers. On a particular island, there was a base under the direct command of the Marine Headquarters G-16 branch. This was just one of many bases, as the Marines were well established across the 4 seas. The base's commander, a captain, was currently receiving a special guest. In the office, bronze chests were opened individually, revealing glittering gold and jewels. The sheer quantity dazzled the captain instantly. Wearing a rat hat, this captain had a long, narrow face with a pointed nose, 3 disgusting whiskers on each cheek, and greedy, beady eyes. "Captain Nezumi, are you satisfied with my gift?" A rough voice sounded, and the guest before Nezumi grinned with sharp teeth. With blue skin, a saw-like nose, a shark-like face, webbed hands, wearing shorts and an open shirt, he sat cross-legged in front of the captain. This was a fishman, Arlong, whom Noir always dreaded. "Satisfied, of course, I'm satisfied." Captain Nezumi was almost enchanted, pressing his face into the treasure. He picked up a gem, kissed it hard, and asked, "You've already attacked over a dozen villages, isn't that enough?" Arlong laughed and shook his head, saying, "How could it be enough? My Arlong Empire is far more ambitious." "Don't worry, as long as you keep these things quiet, there'll be plenty of money." Captain Nezumi, grinning greedily, replied, "Of course, of course." Arlong's eyes showed disdain. He then stood up, his tall, sturdy body looming, and said, "Well, I'll be off. Good luck to both of us, haha, safe travels." Leaving the base, Arlong headed to the shore where his pirate ship was docked. The black pirate flag bore a red saw shark over crossed bones. This was the Shark Superbia, Arlong's notorious vessel. Back on the Superbia, various fishmen asked upon seeing him, "Is it done?" "Of course," Arlong replied. "Just a greedy little human. If not for worrying about alerting higher-ups, I wouldn't bother bribing such ass." Arlong thought disdainfully. Ever since a sleazy vice-admiral easily defeated him on the Grand Line years ago, he had become more cunning and cautious. Otherwise, with someone like Captain Nezumi, Arlong could crush 10 of him with one hand. Feeling the sting of losing money, Arlong looked at the sea chart on the table. His huge webbed hand slapped the chart, his fierce face hidden in shadow, grinning evilly. "The Arlong Empire starts here." Raising his hand, The chart marked his target, Noir's hometown, Kokoyasi Village, Chapter 12. Boom! In Kokoyasi Village, the normally peaceful streets were now in ruins, and the villagers were fleeing in terror. Another house collapsed with a loud crash, and a nearby fishman nonchalantly retracted his hand. Ha 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 ha. A group of burly fishmen laughed wildly as they watched the humans scatter. Humans are a lower species, completely powerless to resist. Arlong, the leader of the Arlong pirates, sneered at the villagers with a look of brutal contempt. Shut up, you vile pirates. Genzo, the village policeman, stood up and shouted angrily. Behind him stood a group of villagers wielding weapons. Although their faces were filled with fear, they stood before the fishmen. They were afraid, but they had no choice but to stand up. 2 years ago, a child protected the village, and although they didn't show it, they still felt a sense of guilt. Their home had to be defended by themselves. Summoned his courage, Genzo grabbed an iron rod and led the villagers in a charge. However, the innate differences between species were not something ordinary people could overcome. Arlong looked dismissively at the humans who dared to resist and said calmly, "Chew, show them a lesson." Beside Arlong, a tall, slender fish man with a long mouth resembling an iron cannonfish stepped forward, his lips painted with lipstick. The fish man named Chew glared listlessly with dead fish eyes, then lowered his head and rapidly spat out several water bullets from his long mouth. Bang! 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 The sound of rapid strikes echoed as Genzo was hit by the water bullets and fell like dominoes. The villagers clutched their wounded bodies, groaning in pain, while Genzo's face twisted with unwillingness. Why? Are the fishmen really this strong? They didn't even take us seriously and they could defeat us all in an instant. Belle stood with the villagers, her eyes filled with anger, holding Nami and Najiko by the hands. The two little girls cowered behind Belle legs in fear, and Najiko worriedly thought, "Brother, where are you?" Seeing the fear on everyone's faces, Arlong felt even more satisfied and laughed arrogantly. Fishmen are naturally a superior race, and dirty humans shouldn't even exist. Humans defying fishman's rule is like defying the laws of nature. Arlong enjoyed seeing the humans he despised being so powerless. He extended 5 fingers and said, "If you want to live, pay for it. 50,000 berries for each child, 100,000 berries for each adult. Fair enough, right? Being allowed to live in my Arlong Empire is a lifelong honor for you." The villagers bowed their heads in humiliation, while Genzo roared in anger, "Damn fishmen! How could we?" Arlong's thick eyebrows furrowed, and Karubi, a sawfish fishman beside him, rushed forward. With a fierce punch, Genzo's body was sent flying, uncontrollably spewing blood from his mouth. Barely alive, Genzo knelt on the ground, and Karubi coldly said, "Do not resist the fisherman." Seeing Genzo collapse, someone finally couldn't bear the immense pressure. "We can't beat them. Let's just give them the money." "What are you saying? We don't stand a chance. Not giving them money is just throwing our lives away. No one can defeat them." Arlong watched the crowd gradually give up resisting and smirked. "You're wrong." At that moment, a young voice rang out, and Arlong's smile froze. Nami had somehow run out from behind Belle and shouted, "My big brother Noir is the strongest. You filthy fisherman, Noir won't let you off." Noir, a name too familiar to forget. The villagers suddenly remembered a 10-year-old child who defeated a pirate with a bounty of 15 million berries and sank a pirate ship. A glimmer of hope flashed in Genzo's eyes as he struggled to get up, muttering, "Right, Noir is still. If that brat comes back and sees this, he'll laugh at me." The villagers seemed to regain their fighting spirit, while Arlong glared at Nami, puzzled. Who is Noir? Is he the strong one in this village? What kind of strength could someone from a small village have? Belle quickly pulled Nami back, shielding her from Arlong's murderous gaze. Arlong looked at Karubi and ordered, "Kill that man. Let them see some blood." "Yes." Karubi picked up a fallen sword and swung it down mercilessly. "Genzo! Genzo!" The villagers shouted in anger, but the blade did not slow down. At the critical moment, a gust of wind blew and a figure appeared. Clang! Instead of the expected blood, there was a clear sound of metal clashing. Karubi looked in surprise at the hand that caught the blade. It was pitch black. Haki? How could it be? Looking further, he saw a young face under a heavy cloak. What? Arlong's eyes widened as he looked at the newcomer. "Genzo, I just got back. How did the village get filled with so much trash? Haven't you been managing it well?" Genzo looked at the cloaked man in surprise. He would recognize that voice anywhere. When this rascal was a kid, he used to pull out Gonzo's leg hair for fun. Slowly removing his hat, a handsome and dashing face was revealed. With short, smooth black hair, sharp eyebrows, and deep, star-like eyes, he had a mysterious and lethal charm. It was none other than the dashing Noir. "Noir. Big brother. You brat. My dear." Hearing the villagers' joyful cheers, Noir grinned with satisfaction. "As expected, my popularity hasn't waned. Wait, Did I hear some weird nickname mixed in? In the crowd, a certain orange-haired loli shrank her neck. Looking at the villagers as if they were chasing a star, Arlong wanted to point at Noir and curse. Who the hell are you? This atmosphere, this heat, who do you think you are? Are you a returning king? The returning king Noir turned around and met Arlong's hateful gaze, revealing a cold smile. Pointing at Arlong's saw-shaped nose, he said, "Stop staring, Arlong. I'm coming over to send you to the afterlife." Chapter 13. Arlong's face darkened immediately as Noir pointed at him and cursed. Seeing their leader insulted, Karubi couldn't hold back any longer. Pathetic human, die. Karubi, relying on his massive build, raised his fist and aimed a punch at Noir's head. Noir sneered, casually raised his hand, and effortlessly caught Karubi's fist, stopping it dead in its tracks. What? Karubi was shocked to see his hand stopped so easily. Even though he hadn't used his full strength, this human had casually blocked his attack. Noir didn't care about what Karubi was thinking. He grabbed Karubi's fist, twisted his body, and kicked him in the abdomen. How strong could a human possibly be? Karubi felt a massive force hit him. His internal organs seemed to shift as his tall body crashed down. Under the shocked gazes of everyone, Noir leisurely retracted his leg. Such an opponent might have been troublesome 2 years ago. As for now, 2 years of rigorous training had pushed his physique and swordsmanship beyond the 300-point mark, stronger than the Straw Hat Crew's top fighters during their battle against the Arlong pirates in the original story. Moreover, with the aid of King's disposition and King's swordsmanship, his armament hockey had reached a level where he could harden and control it at will. How could I lose? Clutching his stomach, Karubi stood up, eyes wide open, with 2 ridiculous pigtails on his head, looking comical like a traditional New Year's doll. He roared, "Human, you're dead." Ultimate move, Fishman Karate. 1,000 brick fist. Karubi adopted his stance, unleashing his proudest killing technique. Arlong's face lit up with a smile, and the Fishman subordinates behind him also looked pleased. This was the ultimate move of Karubi, a 40th degree Fishman Karate practitioner and a cadre of the Arlong pirates. What could a mere human do to stop it? However, in Noir's eyes, the seemingly fierce 1,000 brick fist was nothing but a paper tiger. Buzz. A clear sound rang out as Noir's fist instantly covered in hockey. He casually threw a punch at the right angle. Karubi, who lunged at Noir like a wild wolf, was sent flying back even faster, crashing through a building and landing in the rubble, unconscious. His forearm was twisted at a terrifying angle, clearly having suffered a massive impact. The fishmen of the pirate crew couldn't believe what they saw. The dignified 40th degree Fishman Karate practitioner, Karubi, was defeated with a single punch? Arlong's face darkened. He had clearly seen that the boy used armament hockey. Why would someone in this remote East Blue know hockey? At this moment, the kissing Fishman Chu couldn't stand it anymore. While Noir was distracted, Chu launched a sneak attack. 100-shot water cannon. Multiple water bullets shot towards Noir, who covered his arms with hockey and crossed them in front of his chest. The sounds of impacts echoed, but not a single shot could harm Noir. Annoyed by the sneak attack, Noir immediately changed direction, charging straight towards Chu. "Stop!" Arlong's eyelid twitched. He wanted to stop the charging Noir, but Noir was too fast, ignoring Arlong and punching Chu square in the face. Bang! Chu's annoying mouth was punched inward, and Noir followed up with a knee strike. With a combo attack, Chu rolled his eyes and fell, his fate unknown. Arg! Damn it! The octopus fishman Hachi, another cadre, angrily rushed at Noir, seeing his comrades fall. Seeing Hachi's face, Noir remembered that Hachi would redeem himself in later arcs. But what does that matter now? As long as they're enemies, they all must fall. Hachi wielded 6 swords with his 6 arms, aggressively slashing at Noir. Noir's eyes flashed coldly. He reached for the hilt at his waist, and in an instant, a blinding sword light shone as he drew his sword and slashed. 1 sword against 6, yet this disparity didn't give Hachi any hope of victory. The 6 swords shattered under the slash. A blood-red wound appeared on Hachi's chest, spraying blood. With the final cadre defeated, the remaining fishmen of the pirate crew started to feel fear. Their innate racial superiority had made them arrogantly believe that their natural strength was enough to crush humans. But now, a single human had shattered that belief with a few moves, trampling it underfoot. How could they not be terrified? After dealing with the 3 cadres, Noir didn't look pleased at all. To these fishmen, these 3 might be the strongest. But to him, they were nothing special. In the original story, Chu was knocked out by Usopp with a hammer. Hachi was slashed twice by a severely injured Zoro, becoming a laughingstock. Only Karubi, with his underwater advantage, nearly drowned Sanji. But, hey, no water in the village, are you frustrated? Being defeated by the early Straw Hat Crew, the Arlong pirates' strength was only enough to dominate East Blue. Ignoring the ridicule in his heart, Arlong looked at his defeated cadres, now resembling dead fish. Finally, Arlong was furious. Arlong glared viciously at Noir. The goldfish fishman handed over a black serrated sword, which Arlong took with a terrifying expression. "Kid, I've changed my mind. I'll capture you, and make you watch as I kill everyone in this village." Arlong furiously raised his sword and swung it at Noir, who quickly blocked it. A series of slashes and blocks followed. Arlong, relying on the special serrated blade, temporarily suppressed Noir. But despite Arlong's fierce attacks, Noir's eyes remained calm. He was adapting to Arlong's attack rhythm. After deflecting Arlong's sword once more, Noir finally began his counterattack. Arlong was shocked and quickly pulled back his sword to block the blade aimed at his neck. The tide of the battle shifted instantly. Noir, taking advantage of the serrated sword's large and unwieldy nature, rapidly slashed at Arlong's vital points. Then, Noir feigned an opening. Arlong swung his sword hard at the ground. Seizing the opportunity, Noir covered his blade with armament hockey and swung it hard at Arlong's sword. With a loud crack, Arlong's sword shattered, along with Arlong's spirit. Chapter 14. Arlong looked at the shattered pieces of his sword, Slasher, and felt as if his heart was bleeding. Though Slasher wasn't made of any rare or valuable materials, its crafting was complex, and it suited Arlong's fighting style perfectly. Moreover, it had been with him for many years. It was as if Noir's sword had smashed Arlong's beloved companion into pieces. Veins bulged on Arlong's forehead, and his steel teeth were almost shattering. His bloodshot eyes glared fiercely at Noir. "Despicable human, die." Arlong's blue head suddenly lunged forward, and his sawtooth nose thrust out like a vicious spear. Noir blocked the sawtooth nose with his sword. As Arlong closed in, he opened his gaping maw to bite Noir's neck. Noir quickly freed one hand, covered it with armament hockey, turning it black and hard. Arlong's teeth bit down on the iron-like arm. Kicking Arlong's body away, Noir retreated hastily. This guy's entire body is a weapon. Noir frowned, and Arlong found the human before him extremely difficult to deal with. Back on the Grand Line, Arlong had been a cadre of the Sun Pirates, founded by Fisher Tiger. His experience far surpassed that of the East Blue's frogs in a well. He knew about the power system of hockey, but as a pure racial supremacist, Arlong only relied on his species' natural physical advantages and never considered training other powers. After Tiger's death, Arlong was captured by the Marine and later rescued by Jinbei, who became a warlord. They went their separate ways, and Arlong retreated instead of advancing on the Grand Line. He returned to the weakest sea, the East Blue. Given his experiences, his strength had clear limitations. Arlong slowly reached into his mouth, gripping his sharp teeth. "Noir, are you hungry?" Arlong quickly pulled out his teeth with his hand, and then his mouth rapidly grew new ones. Noir watched as Arlong pulled out a full set of teeth and held them like castanets. Noir cooperatively clapped and cheered. "Bravo, is this a circus act?" "Shut up, human." Arlong ignored the sarcastic human brat. "This is the advantage of fishmen. My entire body is a weapon. There are countless ways for me to kill you." Noir shrugged. "So what?" Arlong charged with his teeth, shouting, "Take this, iron jaw attack." Noir defended with his sword, blocking each fierce but ineffective strike from Arlong. Noir slashed down, suppressing the iron teeth, then quickly changed the sword's angle, forcefully flicking the teeth away. Arlong's weapon was disarmed. He didn't miss the opening. With a horizontal slash of his hockey-covered black blade, he inflicted a deep wound on Arlong's chest. Fishman blood flowed freely, and the surrounding people could almost see the white bones beneath the flesh. "Arg!" Arlong clutched his wound and fell to his knees, screaming in pain. Noir shook the blood off his blade, then sheathed it, looking at Arlong with no hint of sympathy. Noir taunted softly, "How long has it been since you trained? Relying on your racial advantages to kill humans weaker than you, have you forgotten to train yourself? What gives you the right to insult humans with such stagnant strength?" Arlong's blue face turned red with rage. "Shut up, shut up, shut up." Using all his strength, Arlong leapt high, spinning with his sharp teeth aimed at Noir. "Jaw wheel. Some people never learn," Noir thought disdainfully. He slowly extended his hands, intending to catch Arlong barehanded. Arlong roared in his spin, "Don't underestimate me." But then, Noir's body expanded, brown fur sprouted, and his handsome face turned into a bear's. Devil fruit ability activated. With his thick bare paws, Noir caught Arlong's jaw wheel. Seeing Arlong's shocked and confused expression, a sly smile appeared on Noir's bare face. Noir dramatically shook his head and roared, "Dragon hug killer." "Nani?" Before Arlong could react, Noir wrapped his bare arms around him, hugging him tightly. Arlong felt warm and snug, even the bare fur was a bit prickly. But then he realized Noir was tightening his grip with all his strength. No, don't. Ignoring Arlong's desperate cries, Noir, as if performing a secret move, yelled passionately, "It's over, Arlong. Let me hold you tight." Crack, snap. First came the nauseating sound of bones dislocating, followed by the crisp crack of bone breaking. Noir slowly released his arms, and Arlong collapsed like a pile of mush, as if he were a dead fish. "Damned, human." Arlong cursed weakly. Noir marveled, "Still not dead?" Fishman racial traits are impressive. EHH, can I copy a fishman ability from Arlong? Just as Noir reached to pick up Arlong, Arlong suddenly pulled out a capsule from somewhere. That's Noir's pupils shrank. Arlong swallowed the capsule, and his body, as if revitalized, slapped away Noir's bare paw and retreated. Arlong's eyes were now filled with hatred, wanting to tear this brat apart. But he knew he couldn't do it now. Luckily, his comrades from Fishman Island had sent him a prototype of the forbidden drug, energy steroid aka ES. By overloading his life force, it granted temporary immense strength. Proud Arlong would never have used such a drug. But now, he had no choice. With temporary strength restored, Arlong didn't want to continue fighting. He shouted to his subordinates, "Attack the villagers." The fishmen, ecstatic at seeing their leader regain his strength, immediately understood and charged at the villagers. Noir's brows furrowed tightly. They were trying to distract him? Arlong had grasped his weak point. He couldn't ignore the villagers. Noir had to abandon the still capable Arlong and turn to protect the villagers under attack by the fishmen. Striking down one fishman after another, Noir shielded the villagers, not letting any harm come to them. Meanwhile, Arlong seized the opportunity, rushing to the three cadres and carrying them on his shoulders as he fled. The fishmen, seeing the cadres being rescued, stopped fighting Noir and also fled. The Arlong pirates' ship hadn't even sailed off. The fishmen dived into the water, disappearing like shadows. Noir stood at the shore, speechless as he watched the fishmen scatter and escape. Damn, they got away. Chapter 15. Noir chased Arlong all the way to the shore, watching as the fishman's silhouette quickly disappeared beneath the water. He could only stand there in frustration. Fishmen in water were truly unbeatable in terms of speed. Damn it, how did Arlong get his hands on the vicious ES pills? He never used them in the original series, Noir muttered angrily. What Noir didn't know was that if he hadn't pushed Arlong into a corner, the fishman would have thrown away the highly detrimental pills in a couple of days. Arlong was like a thorn, constantly threatening Belmere and the villagers. Noir's face turned cold. Hunt down Arlong, no loose ends. At that moment, the system's voice echoed in his mind. Ding, host has successfully altered an important plotline. Reward doubled. Rewards granted. Observation Hockey Awakening Beginner Pack 1, Fishman Karate Training Manual 1, Red Talent Copy Card 1, White Talent Copy Card 10. A series of system notifications bombarded Noir's mind, leaving him dizzy with joy. With the awakening of Observation Hockey, only Conqueror's Hockey remained to be mastered, and with the King's Disposition, talent, obtaining it by age 17 was a certainty. Additionally, Fishman Karate was an excellent combat technique. It wasn't limited to fishmen. Humans could also train in it to a high level, even to the point of manipulating water. Most importantly, it could replace the Village Guard combat technique Talent Noir had copied from Genzo, which turned out to be pretty useless. It was only barely sufficient for self-defense, useless against true martial artists. So Noir had turned to swordsmanship. But during his duel with Kembra, his sword was broken, and he was left to take blows with his bare hands. Now, with Fishman Karate, a well-known martial art in the New World, he could cover his weaknesses. The best part was that it didn't occupy a talent slot. Noir could train it himself. He decided to find an opportunity to replace Genzo's talent. As for the talent copy cards, the red card replenishment was great. But what was he supposed to do with so many white cards? From experiments, Noir was certain that white talents were pretty much for minor skills. But better something than nothing. With a long sigh, Noir turned back towards the villagers. Noir! The villagers cheered as they saw him, rushing forward to surround him enthusiastically. Leading the charge were two adorable little girls. Nami and Najiko leapt into Noir's arms, making him laugh heartily. Belmere watched with a hearty smile, gratified to see her children being celebrated by the villagers. Ooh! Before long, the villagers hoisted Noir high into the air and tossed him up with all their might. Holding a girl in each arm, Noir laughed as they giggled like little sparrows. Noir! 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 Though a bit dizzy from being tossed, Noir grinned proudly. Ha ha ha, calm down, calm down. Your bro is just… Wait, who's touching my… After the commotion settled, everyone remembered the half-dead Genzo lying on the ground. Genzo's face looked like he'd eaten something foul. He'd been lying there for hours, inhaling the earthy scent of the soil, and no one had even bothered to help him up. Some idiot even stepped on him. The villagers quickly helped Genzo to his feet. His face finally lightened as he weakly said, "All right, let's head back to the village. Someone get me a doctor." The villagers, suddenly reminded, laughed and shouted, "Mr. Genzo is right, let's go back and throw a banquet." "Let's have a banquet." Oh. Genzo was furious, his tongue flapping in anger, damn it. As night fell, the day's exhaustion and labor came to an end. In the darkness, people shed their negative emotions, resetting their mood. The usually quiet Kokoyashi village was bustling and lively. In the center of the village square, a massive bonfire blazed. Various meats were grilling on racks, slathered in sauce, the rich aroma making everyone's mouths water. Seated around the bonfire, Noir and several burly villagers joked and drank, enjoying themselves immensely. Nijiko and Nami curiously eyed the barrels of alcohol, cautiously taking a sip. Their eyes lit up instantly. Each grabbed a full cup, clinked them together, and chugged. The two little rascals let out satisfied burps, oblivious to Belmere sneaking up behind them. Hunt time. Smiling women wove through the crowd, carrying trays of sumptuous dishes, serving everyone. Someone started it, and soon a large group was holding hands around the bonfire, dancing to off-key singing. Belmere held Noir's hand, Noir held Nijiko's, and Nijiko held Nami's. The two little girls, now sporting bruises, were very obedient. The family stood at the center of the villagers, performing a dance none of them could identify, looking quite awkward. The crowd laughed heartily at the sight. Late into the night, the village's celebration continued. Noir's family partied until they were too tired to dance, finally collapsing on the ground to sleep. Belmere fell asleep against a table, while Noir dozed off. Surprisingly, the only ones still awake were two cute little girls. Nami hugged a barrel of alcohol, giggling foolishly, pointing at the sleeping villagers. "Look at them, just a few drinks and they're out. So lame." Nijiko nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, they're totally lame." The two girls exchanged a glance, clinked their cups, and yelled, "Cheers." Under the moonlight, with the villagers sprawled out asleep, two little figures stood triumphantly. No one knew how much trouble they'd be in the next day. Chapter 16. While Noir and the villagers celebrated their victory at the banquet, there were always some unfortunate souls in the darkness. On a small, isolated island, a group of fishmen lay on the ground in disarray. At the forefront, the saw-toothed shark fishman clutched his chest, a deep wound across it. His webbed hand covered his mouth, but it couldn't stop the blood gushing from his maw. Arlong, the three main fishman cadre, who had been unconscious, had awakened and rushed to Arlong's side, worried. Karubi looked at the nearly dead Arlong with anguish and said, "If it weren't for that human, we wouldn't be in this state." Chu, with his deformed mouth and terrified eyes, trembled as he said, "That guy isn't human, he's a devil." Hatchin, covering his bleeding wound, whimpered, "What should we do now?" The fishmen fell silent again. This defeat was their most significant blow. They had retreated from the Grand Line to the East Blue, believing that fishmen were the noblest race, and had come here to conquer humans. Who would have thought that their grand plan to dominate the East Blue would be thwarted by a mere human boy from a small village? "I must prove that fishmen are the strongest race." A weak but determined voice broke the silence, revitalizing the fishmen. Arlong, half kneeling, straightened up. His eyes glowed red with rage and hatred, his weak voice filled with determination. "We're going back to the Grand Line." "What?" Karubi and the others exclaimed in shock. "We can't get stronger here. I need more powerful challenges." Arlong laughed maniacally, sending shivers down the spines of the fishmen. In this way, Noir had unknowingly altered Arlong's life trajectory, creating a future where Arlong would become even stronger. But this was still far off. At this moment, Noir was still sleeping with a few villagers in a tight embrace. Suddenly, Noir's eyes snapped open. He felt a strange sensation, as if something was disturbing his mind, making him restless and causing him to shiver all over. Was this the observation Haki sensing something? Noir concentrated, then realized. He needed to pee. Noir ran to a small grove outside, relieved himself with precision, and sighed with comfort. Whistling, Noir walked along the night path when he heard the creaking of wooden boards. With his keen senses, he stopped and looked towards Arlong's pirate ship in the distance. Two figures were moving about on the deck under the hazy moonlight. This was Arlong's ship, left behind during Noir's chase. Noir raised an eyebrow, puzzled. Did Arlong return? No way, did he come back just to retrieve the ship? Noir grabbed his sword and strode towards the ship. Using the moonlight, he silently reached the ship, lightly tapping the wooden planks and effortlessly perched atop the mast, observing the deck. On the deck, two people in plain clothes were moving around. Despite the darkness, Noir could see they were two women. The girls appeared to be around 17 or 18, each with a long sword at their waist and a decent physique. One of them searched the ship, then suddenly sat down and spoke. "Sister, is this really the Arlong pirate's ship?" Her voice was so loud that Noir almost lost his balance and fell. The noise was deafening in the quiet night, and Noir wondered if her companion's ears had gone deaf. Before Noir could react, the other girl shouted even louder, "Keep your voice down, we're sneaking in." Noir almost kneeled. Where did these two come from? How have they survived this long without getting killed? Arlong, that bastard has ruined so many villages. We must kill him this time, the younger sister shouted, ignoring her sister's warning. Noir couldn't take it anymore and casually asked from the mast, "Are you enemies of Arlong?" "Who's there?" The sisters reacted quickly, shouting in unison. "Be careful, sister, hearing the voice before seeing the person means he's a master." "Right, get closer and don't get ambushed." Noir looked at the two spinning around on the deck and said, "Look up." The older sister tensed up and warned, "Don't look, it's a trap." The younger sister realized, "Trying to ambush us when we look up? No way. We're the smartest women in the village." Noir laughed in frustration. Were there no other women in their village? He couldn't talk to these two any longer, it might give him a brain hemorrhage. Noir jumped down to the deck, looking at the two wary sisters, and asked, "Who sent you to find Arlong?" Up close, he noticed the girls weren't bad looking. Each had a single ponytail, one on the left and one on the right. Their faces were not stunning, but they were quite pretty, with delicate features and a charming demeanor. They wore crop tops and shorts, with long swords at their waists, looking like wandering warriors. Such good-looking girls, but such loud mouths. "We're pirate hunters, here for Arlong's bounty," the older sister, who had the louder voice, said to Noir. She held up a bounty poster showing Arlong's fierce face and a bounty of 20 million berries. This was probably the highest bounty in the East Blue. No wonder the pirate hunters were interested. "Well, you're too late. I've already dealt with Arlong," Noir said, shrugging. "Dealt with?" The older sister was surprised. The younger sister was skeptical. "Just you, a kid? That's a 20 million berries pirate?" "Is 20 million berries strong?" Noir asked nonchalantly, fully showing off. The younger sister nodded seriously, "Absolutely strong, he could crush you many times over." "Your sister is as dumb as mine." Noir was left speechless. It was hard to show off when no one was buying it. Noir looked at the two pirate hunters and said, "Then why don't you try?" He slowly drew his sword, and the sharp blade gleamed in the moonlight. "Come on, you'll see." 140 Chapter 17 Noir drew his sword, causing the two sisters to immediately raise their katanas against him, cautiously sizing him up. "Attack!" the older sister shouted, and the two charged at Noir, engaging in a fierce battle. 15 minutes later, the two sisters, with faces swollen, knelt properly on the ground, mumbling, "You really defeated Arlong, no doubt about it." Curious, Noir squatted down to inspect them and asked, "Are you really pirate hunters? You seem pretty weak." The older sister quickly nodded, saying, "We're not lying. My name is Kaide, and this is my sister, Naomi. We're famous pirate hunters in the East Blue." Famous? They weren't in the original story. Noir wondered but soon understood. They came to trouble Arlong today. If Noir hadn't changed the storyline and Arlong was still here, they probably would have been killed by now, right? Out of caution, Noir decided to use a detection technique on the well-known sisters. Name: Kaide Random/Master, White Quality, has a special talent for katanas, and during one-on-one duels, when emotions run high, triggers Random/, with a 1% chance of hitting the enemy. East Blue Info Vault, White Quality, due to her thick-skinned nature, she rarely encounters social obstacles, thus recording most pirate and criminal information in the East Blue. Name: Naomi inherited Blind Chaos Blade, White Quality, has a special talent for katanas, and during battles against multiple enemies, when emotions run high, triggers inherited sword skills with a 3% chance of hitting at least one opponent. Bounty Reporter, White Quality, due to her idle nature, she memorizes almost all pirate bounty posters and reports information accurately. Neither of them has a blue talent. Noir fully understood. The gap between people can be vast. Even Mr. Jen, a weakling, had a natural talent for focus training. But why are these two sisters' talents so extraordinary? No wonder they collapsed during the fight before he could exert much effort. Luckily, their emotions weren't high. Noir rubbed his forehead and said helplessly, "All right, I believe you. But Arlong really was defeated by me. He's fled now, so you should search elsewhere." Kaide and Naomi exchanged glances, then bowed their heads and loudly banged them against the floor. Noir's heart skipped a beat, and he stared in shock at the two begging sisters. The two sisters shouted, "Master, please accept us as your students." Huh? Noir tilted his head in confusion. Kaide raised her head, a serious expression on her face, and said, "Anyone who can defeat both of us at once is rare in the East Blue." Naomi nodded vigorously, "I think so too." Kaide's eyes shone with wisdom, "Your swordsmanship is superb. And you defeated the great pirate Arlong. You must be a master swordsman." Naomi agreed wholeheartedly, "I think so too." Kaide bowed her head again reverently, "Master, please accept as your students." Naomi, being even more sincere, banged her head loudly once more. Master. Noir looked at these two peculiar individuals, unsure of what to say. With talents like theirs, he really didn't dare accept them as students. Noir quickly waved his hands, saying, "But I'm only 12 years old, and both of you are older than me. Let's forget about it." Kaide and Naomi looked shocked. "Master, you're only 12? You look so mature?" Kaide, humbly seeking instruction, said, "Even though you're young, you're stronger than us. We won't mind." "But I mind." Noir was on the verge of tears. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration hit him. He pointed behind the sisters and shouted, "Look, it's Arlong." "What? Huh?" Taking advantage of their distraction, Noir leapt off the pirate ship and ran for his life. Noir swore he had never run so fast, not even when grabbing a seat in the cafeteria. "Where's Arlong?" Noir ran into the village, carried Belmire on his back, dragged out the two sisters who were secretly drinking, and hurried back home. Wiping the sweat from his brow, Noir smirked. "Just like that? You think you can find me?" The next morning, Noir, eyes filled with despair, saw Kaide and Naomi standing at his doorstep, looking frustrated. "Why?" Belmire, laughing brightly, said, "I went to the village early this morning, and these two girls were asking around for you. They said they were your students, so I brought them back." "Ah!" Noir shouted, covering his face in despair. But there was no choice. He couldn't just ignore them. Noir reluctantly went out to meet them. Kaide and Naomi, seeing Noir, brightened up and respectfully bowed. "Master." Noir felt his head buzzing and said, "You don't need to bow. Well, life is like this. If you can't resist, you might as well accept it passively and make yourself more comfortable. On the bright side, having two capable assistants. Oh, no, little sisters to run errands wasn't too bad. At least when he fights in the future, he'll have two loud cheerleaders by his side. Even if their brains might not be fully developed." Noir took Kaide and Naomi as students and diligently taught them swordsmanship. Unfortunately, their basics was lacking, so he made them start from the beginning. Noir found the profession of pirate hunting quite interesting. Killing pirates and collecting bounties from the marine was a good way to make money. When he set sail in the future, he could use this title for adventures. Noir didn't have much affection for pirates. Unless forced into a corner or provoked, he would never willingly become a pirate. In this vast ocean, there are pirate crews like Luffy's, but they are rare. As for being a marine officer, Noir wasn't interested. Although it's stable and safe, working for the corrupt world government and cleaning up after the celestial dragons, no way. If Noir ever met those celestial dragons, he wouldn't be able to resist drawing his sword and slaying them. Protecting them was out of the question. And forget about overthrowing the government from within for justice and protecting the people. Noir knew he wasn't a good person. He was selfish. As long as his loved ones were happy, that was enough. The righteous conduct of marine officers didn't suit him at all. 140 Chapter 18 Noir had a clear plan. He would never voluntarily become a pirate, nor would he join the marine. Being a pirate hunter was a great identity. Of course, Noir also wanted to see how far he could go on the Grand Line with a legitimate identity. Early in the morning, the villagers gathered to drag Arlong's pirate ship, the Sea Serpent, into the village and began dismantling it with a flurry of activity. By noon, the Sea Serpent had been transformed into a normal-looking ship. This was Noir's wish. He planned to make his debut as a pirate hunter and needed a ship. Since Arlong's ship was just sitting there, he decided to repurpose it. Noir discussed his plans with Belmire, who didn't object. With Noir's current strength, sailing in the East Blue was almost a game. It was a way to make extra money. However, Nami threw a fit when she heard that Noir was going out to make money and insisted on joining him. But Belmire quickly put an end to that. Sailing the East Blue, Noir navigated effortlessly with his hyperclimate sense. Lying comfortably in a beach chair, soaking up the sun, he listened as Kaide and Naomi discussed their destination. Kaide, holding a small notebook, said, "Master, our target this time is in Tandale Village. It's a pirate stronghold led by a man named York. After each raid, they store their loot there. So we can go straight to the source, grab the treasure, and then wait to ambush York." Noir took a sip of his orange juice and praised, "Kaide, your intelligence gathering is impressive. You even found out such details." Proudly, Kaide continued, "Although York's bounty isn't high, he often kills for money and rarely provokes big shots, so he must have amassed quite a bit." Curious, Noir asked, "So what's the bounty on this guy?" Finally, a chance to shine. It was as if a background music track was playing around them. Kaide, who hadn't had many opportunities to show off her skills, quickly and fluently shouted, "It's exactly 3,126,549 belly, no mistake." Noir looked at Naomi in amazement and thought, "This talent of yours is truly extraordinary. How can it be so accurate?" Suspicious, Noir asked, "Are you sure? What if the bounty has been updated?" Naomi confidently replied, "It won't. I memorize the updated bounties every night." Speechless, Noir thought, "What can I say? Previously puzzled as to why memorizing bounties was a talent, he now understood. You memorize the odd amounts too? Are you saving up to buy a chopper? No wonder even the system said you were bored, can't blame you. While Noir marveled at the sister's talents, a ship approached from the distance. The familiar black flag with a white skull, it's truly the age of piracy. It wasn't long before they encountered another pirate crew. Walking to the bow, Noir looked ahead and saw a group of pirates jumping around like hunting dogs that had spotted prey. So many henchmen. How annoying, Noir said, watching the pirates with disinterest. It wasn't that they were a threat, even if they attacked together, they wouldn't be a problem, but they were annoying. However, minions were great for showing off. Seeing the clueless Kaide and Naomi, Noir's eyes lit up. My students, let me teach you something. On the pirate ship, the newly appointed pirate leader excitedly eyed the approaching ship. There were only 3 people, a child and 2 unsuspecting women, an easy target at last. As the ships approached, the pirate leader shouted, "Boys, attack." Ah! The pirate henchmen shouted, climbing aboard like monkeys, brandishing their weapons and trying to look ferocious. The pirate leader, leading the charge with a scimitar, waved his weapon wildly and shouted, "Hand over the money, or else, huh?" The pirate leader's voice choked as he realized something was wrong. Noir was sitting on his chair with his legs crossed, wearing sunglasses and looking incredibly smug. Next to him, Kaide and Naomi stood solemnly with their swords, wearing pink sunglasses and stern expressions. If these 3 were wearing suits, they would look like stoic characters from The Matrix. The pirate leader, almost overwhelmed by this bizarre scene, shouted, "Stop pretending, hand over the money." Noir responded with a grin that was 1/3 mocking, 1/3 contemptuous, and 1/3 indifferent, like a CEO. Noir raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Nothing happened. Clearing his throat to hide his embarrassment, Noir clapped loudly. Great! On cue, the bodyguard sisters began banging their sword sheaths on the ground, their loud voices finally useful. The pirate leader, hearing this thunderous sound, felt uneasy despite his numbers. That's the effect. Seeing the confused pirates, Noir thought, this is the advantage of having henchmen. You think you can rob us? Noir said with a magnetic voice. Standing up, Kaide saw her chance and dramatically threw a cloak at Noir. But she used too much force. The coat landed perfectly on Noir's head. Blinded by the cloak, Noir calmly removed it. The pirate leader realized. This guy is crazy. Forget this madman, attack, he shouted. The pirates rushed forward, only to be met by Noir's cold gaze and swift sword. In a flash, Noir sliced through the crowd, causing chaos and sending the pirates screaming for their mothers. Soon all the pirates were defeated, and Noir slowly sheathed his sword, looking as lonely as the snow. He lit a cigarette, exhaled rings of smoke, and confidently sat back down. Only to land on the ground with a thud. Turning to glare at Naomi, who was just lifting the chair, she apologized, "Sorry, master, too many steps, I forgot." Noir sighed and covered his face. It's so hard to show off. Chapter 19. After dealing with the nameless pirate crew, Noir took all their money and loaded it onto his ship. Under the tearful eyes of the pirates, the ship with the master and his 2 disciples sailed away. Noir sat cross-legged on the deck, his eyes closed. He tried to comprehend the observation haki that the system had awakened in him. Originally, haki required systematic learning and training to master, but Noir, with his conqueror's disposition and the way of the conqueror, could learn it without guidance. His armament haki had already improved in this way, and now the same was happening with his observation haki. Although his beginner-level observation haki was difficult to control, it gave Noir significant perceptual abilities. He could feel wind, temperature, and presence more clearly. Most amazingly, it felt like a 7th sense, informing him of everything around him. This perception wasn't tied to hearing, sight, or intuition, it felt like a natural ability. For the time being, Noir's observation haki couldn't passively detect his surroundings, but with concentrated effort, it still conveyed considerable information. On this large ship, for example, Noir's observation haki quickly outlined 4 figures in the darkness of his mind. One was himself, 2 were the sisters, and the last one was, who? Who the hell is that? A small figure flickered in and out of Noir's perception, causing him to open his eyes in alarm. Could it be? Noir hurried into the ship, Kaide and Naomi following close behind. He burst into the cluttered storeroom filled with crates of food, drink, and supplies provided by the villagers. One particular barrel caught Noir's attention as it wobbled slightly, indicating that someone had recently climbed inside. Stop hiding, come out or I'll cut you, Noir threatened, his face darkening. After a moment's hesitation, the barrel's lid was gently lifted, revealing a sweet, smiling face. It was Nami, speechless. Noir stared at the now alcohol-scented Nami and asked bitterly, "Why didn't you stay home? Why did you follow me?" Nami, eyes sparkling, climbed out of the barrel and said excitedly, "You're going to make money, right? I want to go too." Noir pinched her cheek in annoyance and scolded, "I'm going to fight pirates. Nami, you can't come with me." Nami, her face flushed from the pinch, was unperturbed and said cheerfully, "Stealing from pirates? I want to do that even more." "What do you mean, stealing? Chasing pirates is not stealing." Noir, embarrassed and angry, rubbed her head with his fist. Despite the scolding, Nami didn't understand the seriousness of the situation and continued to playfully tease Noir. Noir sighed deeply. They were almost at their destination, so it was impossible to send them back. He couldn't just throw Nami overboard, could he? As the ship sailed on, Noir lounged on his deck chair again, while Nami was punished by holding a bucket of water in her back. Kaide and Naomi were assigned to watch over Nami. With their eyes wide open, the sisters stared at Nami all the way to their destination. Nami, annoyed, thought, "Where did my brother find these two idiots? Don't their eyes get tired?" At the shore of Tandale village, the ship slowly docked. Kaide and Naomi finally looked away, and Nami sighed with relief. After being stared at for so long, her nerves were frayed. Noir looked at the sisters, shocked by their red eyes. Did they catch rabies or something? He wondered. Kaide and Naomi reported energetically, "Master, Nami didn't let up. We both watched her together." Noir, confused, asked, "Why didn't you take turns?" Kaide and Naomi exclaimed in surprise, "You can do that? Master, you're so smart." "Smart my ass." Noir could barely keep from cursing. He could feel his IQ dropping around these three. Calming down, Noir walked towards the shore and instructed, "You two don't need to follow me. Just keep an eye on Nami." "Well, you don't have to watch her all the time. Just don't let her wander off." Nami sulked, "Why can't I come with you? I can help you." Noir waved her off with a smile. "Next time, Nami. I'm off to, hunt down pirates, ah ha ha." With an arrogant laugh, Noir disappeared from Nami's sight. Nami stomped her foot in frustration, but soon turned back to the silly sisters with a sly smile. Hehehe. Meanwhile, Noir walked through a forest and soon discovered a village full of people who looked more like sailors than villagers. This was the place. Noir confirmed his destination and headed for the village. Nearby, a group of burly men in sailor uniforms carried heavy crates in pairs. A burly pirate, left alone, struggled with a crate and spotted Noir. His eyes lit up and he called out, "Hey, kid, give me a hand?" Caught off guard, Noir replied, "Oh, okay." He lightly lifted the crate, easing the pirate's burden. The pirate laughed, "Thanks, kid." "No problem." As they followed the group to the village gate, Noir noticed two pirates inspecting people at the entrance. Chatting casually with the pirate, Noir entered the village without arousing suspicion. One pirate guard asked the other, "Do you know this boy?" "No, I thought you did." Inside the village, the burly pirate patted Noir's shoulder gratefully and then left with his companions. Noir overheard part of their conversation as they walked away. "Who was that boy?" "No idea, but he helped me with the box. Must be an intern." "Oh, got it." 140 Chapter 20. As Noir entered the village, he observed his surroundings. The pirate leader, York, seemed to have some sense. Groups of fierce-looking pirates were patrolling the village. The villagers had been driven from their homes, turning this small village into a pirate stronghold. Noir, the pirate hunter, walked through the village unnoticed, as if he were invisible. Nonchalantly, Noir approached a group of pirates and calmly asked, "Excuse me, where does York live?" The pirates, taken aback, replied, "York's house is in the center of the village. Just go straight ahead." "Thanks." Noir nodded and walked on. One of the pirates, confused, asked his companion, "When did we get such a young trainee?" His companion, also puzzled, hesitated. Could he be an intruder? Nonsense. Who asks pirates for directions when they invade? That's true. Noir had an inexplicably smooth journey, but Nami had some problems. Smiling sweetly, Nami served drinks to her brother's two unsuspecting students. Feeling pampered, Kaide and Naomi relaxed. Seeing her chance, Nami said, "Sisters, can we go ashore to play?" Naomi, her face turning serious, replied, "No, Master said we have to watch over you." Nami, still smiling, said, "Watching over me is easy. Just come play with me and you'll watch over me." Naomi, a bit slow-witted, asked, "Is that what Master meant?" Kaide, also confused, hesitated, "Maybe." Nami seized the moment and persuaded, "Don't you want to sneak in and take all the treasures? Imagine how happy my brother will be when he sees a ship full of berries." Her tone, reminiscent of a con artist, enchanted Kaide and Naomi. Seeing their seduced expressions, Nami grinned, "Shall we go?" The sisters exchanged glances and excitedly shouted, "Let's go." With the gullible Kaide and Naomi in tow, Nami stealthily made her way to the village. Meanwhile, pirate leader York, unaware that he was being targeted, sat in a large house holding a wine glass and boasting to his subordinates. "Congratulations, boss, on acquiring a fine weapon from the black market." "Yes, this weapon is from the Grand Line, befitting York's strength." "Boss, show us the sword." York, pleased with the flattery, laughed and said, Alright, I'll show you. He took out a long object wrapped in black cloth from next to his seat. When he unfolded it, he revealed a finely crafted long sword. The ornate scabbard and white cross-shaped guard with gray handle promised a good grip. This is Pure Heart, one of the 50 fine swords. It's famous even in the Grand Line. Now it's mine. York proudly displayed Pure Heart. Wow, can you give me this sword? Haha, of course. An unfamiliar voice interrupted, and York, caught off guard, almost gave the sword away before he realized and angrily shouted, "Who's so presumptuous?" The pirates turned to see a boy nonchalantly feasting. York, not recognizing him, asked, "Who are you?" Stuffing a drumstick into his mouth and wiping his hands on a pirate's clothing, Noir said, "I'm a pirate hunter. I'm here for your head." Pirate hunter? The pirates were shocked. Why was a pirate hunter here? York, suspicious, said, "Impossible. There is so many guards. How did you sneak in?" Noir, remembering the guards, replied earnestly, "The controls were strict. It took a lot of effort." Damn, York, enraged by Noir's casual attitude, shouted, "What are you waiting for? Kill him." Yes, like wolves, the pirates drew their weapons and charged. The once harmonious atmosphere vanished, replaced by shouts and clashing weapons that chilled the hall. Surrounded by pirates, Noir showed no fear. He effortlessly blocked their attacks, occasionally countering with ease. As he walked toward York, surrounded by pirates, Noir's pace remained undiminished. York, seeing his men unable to stop Noir, shouted, "Call for reinforcements, get everyone inside." At York's command, pirates from outside flooded the hall, leaving the village defenseless. Nami, Kaide, and Naomi, hiding outside the village, were struggling to find a way in when they noticed the pirates leaving. The three of them stared at the empty village. What luck. Nami's eyes glowed with berry symbols and she grinned, "Great, let's find the pirates' treasure." Kaide and Naomi nodded eagerly, and the trio boldly entered the village in search of the treasure. Back in the hall, waves of pirates swarmed in, but a wide space remained around Noir. Faced with the lone Noir, the pirates were terrified and hesitant to approach. Many were trampled to death in the chaos. Noir, indifferent, glanced at the frightened pirates, then focused on York, eyes gleaming with greed. Both the sword and the bounty, I want them all. Chapter 21. Noir quickened his pace, his sword slashing wildly, sending deadly waves of sword energy that left his enemies either dead or seriously injured. The pirates could no longer hold back the increasingly frenzied Noir. York, in the crowd, looked terrified as he stepped back, clearly planning to abandon his comrades and escape. Frowning, Noir thrust his sword forward and slashed through the pirates, blocking his path before slashing at York. York, stunned, managed to draw his fine sword to block the attack. A powerful force passed through the blade, causing York's hand to tremble in pain and nearly causing him to drop his weapon. Seizing the opportunity, Noir kicked York, sending him flying, and quickly snatched the fine Pure Heart sword from his grasp. Holding his new prize, Noir's eyes gleamed with excitement and he grinned broadly. This trip was worth it. He got both money and a fine sword. Pure Heart was a long sword, and despite Noir's height and arm length, it still felt a bit mismatched. But with his rapid growth, it wouldn't be long before he could use it perfectly. The sword had a snow-white blade with green patterns etched into it. It was heavy and fit Noir's aesthetic perfectly. "A fine sword, and now it's mine," Noir said, satisfied. York, coughing blood and looking desperate, didn't care that the boy had taken his sword. From their brief exchange, he could tell that their strengths were not on the same level. Known for his cautious nature, York decided to flee. He could always find another place to raid. But Noir was here for York's head and wouldn't let him get away. Trying to run? Let's test this new sword. Noir stopped smiling, sheathed his old sword and held Pure Heart with both hands, aiming at York's retreating back. Noir shot forward like an arrow, quickly catching up to York and slashing at his back with Pure Heart. A flash of green light mixed with blood split York's back open, spurting blood. York fell into a pool of blood with a hideous scream, quickly becoming a lifeless corpse. "Our captain is dead. How is that possible? How could York? This boy is a devil." A devil? The psychological pillar of a pirate crew is its captain. When the pirates saw Noir easily break through their defenses and kill their leader, they panicked. Their terrified screams spread fear among the pirates, and many fled without even retrieving their captain's body. Noir looked sympathetically at York's body and said, "It seems you weren't very important to your subordinates. No one even stayed with you." If York could hear him, he would undoubtedly curse Noir with tears of frustration. Meanwhile, the fleeing pirates had forgotten about their leader. One pirate suddenly said, "There's a lot of treasure in York's treasury. Since he's dead, why don't we share it?" At the thought of York's accumulated wealth, the pirates' eyes reddened with greed, and they happily agreed and headed for the treasury. But when they found the treasury, they were stunned. Why was it empty? Not a single coin was left. Even a rat would have left something behind. As they stood there in shock, a pirate ran over and shouted, "There's a ship on the shore. The bastards on that ship have taken all our money." What? The pirates, furious, drew their weapons and rushed to the shore. That devil boy might be too strong for them, but they could still deal with those thieves. On the ship, Nami happily instructed Kaide and Naomi to organize the stolen treasures. Using her unique treasure sense, Nami quickly found York's hiding place and emptied it. Had Kaide and Naomi not dragged her away, she would have dismantled and packed the gilded door as well. Nami's eyes sparkled with joy at the sight of the treasure-laden ship. She loved berries and shiny things the most. Damn thieves! Give us back our money. Cowards, come down and fight. Give it back. Nami, drooling with joy, snapped out of her daze at the approaching shouts. Not good, the pirates are coming. Let's go. Nami's face turned pale as she ordered Kaide to set sail quickly. Kaide hesitated, but Master isn't back yet. Nami was worried, but she quickly spotted Noir on the shore, excitedly shouting, "Brother, hurry, we took all their money." Noir, standing on the shore with York's head wrapped in a black cloth, sympathized with the pirates. In one day, they lost their leader and their money. So pitiful. But why was there so much money on his ship? Noir realized what was happening from Nami's screams and muttered, "That girl is always making trouble." Noir gracefully jumped onto the ship. Nami said excitedly, "Look, brother, we got so much money." Noir wanted to scold her, but he couldn't bring himself to do so with her glowing, excited face. "York is taken care of and we have the money. Forget the small fry. Let's go," Noir ordered. Kaide and Naomi replied excitedly, "Yes, master." The pirates, seeing the murderer of their captain and the thieves together, were devastated. Who were these bandits? Seeing the desperate pirates, Noir felt even happier. But when he saw Nami celebrating with Kaide and Naomi, he thought. The Arlong story had changed, but Nami still loved berries and stole them. Could it be Nami's nature? P.S. Consider reviewing and dropping some power stones. I would be very grateful and motivated. Chapter 22. After Arlong invaded Kokoyasi village, 10-year-old Nami endured the humiliation and joined the Arlong pirates to protect the villagers. She agreed to Arlong's condition. If she could collect 100 million berries, the village would be freed. To accomplish this, Nami resorted to deception and theft, using her extraordinary skills to steal from the pirates. However, Arlong broke his promise and conspired with Captain Nezumi to steal Nami's savings, prompting the Straw Hat Pirates to fight Arlong for Nami. At first, Noir believed that Nami's love for berries stemmed from her tragic experiences, which made her value money and excel at theft. But now Noir realized that Nami's affinity for berries and her expertise in deception were innate talents. The target has acquired a new talent. Please check, host. When Noir heard the system's voice, he twitched slightly. Could this be it? When he checked Nami, who originally only had a red talent, he now saw a new one. Little Thief Cat. White quality. Valued money highly, possesses exceptional deception skills. The success rate of theft or deception depends on the enemy's intelligence, up to 100%. Noir sighed. Sweet little Nami had inherited her traditional skills, but why was it only a low-quality white talent? The system explained, acquired talents are different from innate ones and can be upgraded as skills improve. Noir nodded. Devil fruit powers are a prime example of acquired talents. For example, Luffy's gum fruit started at a low quality, but developed significantly with his abilities, especially after the 2-year time jump. Seeing Nami hugging a bundle of berries with a blissful expression on her face, Noir's face twisted into a mischievous grin. Little one, if I can't handle you, someone else will. Do you think Belmere would let you go? While counting the money, Nami suddenly felt a shiver run down her spine, sensing imminent danger. She looked suspiciously at Noir, who smiled innocently and showed no intention of taking her money. Relieved, she resumed counting. The journey back was quick and uneventful, with no minor pirates to slow them down. Noir's party soon returned to Kokoyasi village, where Belmere and Najiko were waiting on the shore. When Belmere discovered that her daughter had left, she was worried until she saw that her children had returned safely. But her expression changed to shock when she saw the berries on the ship. Was this voyage so profitable? Nami was worried because she had stolen the money and didn't dare look Belmere in the eye. But Belmere paid no attention to her, because Noir was busy telling the story. Exaggerating the story, Noir complained, "Belmere, while I was fighting, Nami sneaked off to steal money. Not only that, but she kept all the stolen money for herself and refused to share any." Really? Belmere's anger rose, her fists clenched. Absolutely. Noir nodded vigorously, his 2 disciples nodding frantically behind him. Belmere took a deep breath and said quietly, "Don't worry, Noir. She'll cough up every cent." Smiling, Belmere approached the confused Nami. Noir covered his mouth and chuckled. Belmere, smiling, said to the uneasy Nami, "Your brother says you're very capable, stealing money from pirates." Relieved that Belmere wasn't scolding her, Nami smiled innocently. Yes, Belmere, I can buy a lot of treats with it. Didn't you share it with your brother and the others? Belmere asked. Nami paused, realizing that Noir hadn't asked for any. She shook her head, no. Hearing this, Belmere said, I'm so happy for you, Nami, that you have so much money. Feeling that something was wrong, Nami's smile faltered. Before she could answer, Belmere continued, since you're young, it's easy to lose money. I'll keep it for you. Nami, panicking, stammered, Belmere cut her off, don't worry, Nami. I won't take it. You'll get it back when you're older. Nami, frustrated but afraid to defy Belmere, could only watch helplessly. Belmere, satisfied, shouted, bring the money down. Yes. Delighted to witness the confiscation, Noir eagerly complied. A young Nami couldn't outsmart Belmere. Under Nami's pained gaze, the treasure was taken home and placed in Belmere's safe, not Nami's. Afterwards, Belmere shared some berries with Noir and his disciples, who celebrated happily. Nami, biting her handkerchief, wept bitterly, my money. Later, Noir sent Kaide and Naomi with York's head to the navy to collect the bounty, none of which went to Nami. Thus Noir made his debut as a pirate hunter, gaining fame for killing Kembra, York, and defeating Arlong. He quickly became a rising star in the East Blue. As the years passed, Noir's power grew and his bounty kills increased, earning him considerable fame among the East Blue Navy, hunters, and pirates. He was eventually dubbed the strongest pirate hunter in East Blue. In Belmere's house in the village of Kokoyasi, the now famous Noir sat in his room, opened his eyes, and exclaimed excitedly. At 17, I've finally awakened Conqueror Haki, Chapter 23. With the help of the Golden Talent, Conqueror's Aptitude, Noir finally awakened the last of the three types of Haki, the Conqueror's Haki, at the age of 17. System, show me my statistics. Noir called softly to the system, and a light screen displaying his various attributes appeared before his eyes. Host. Kairos D. Noir, Physique, 450, Max 999, Swordsmanship, 498, Max 999. Charisma, 94, Max 100, Armament Haki, 62, Max 100. Observation Haki, 50, Max 100, Conqueror Haki, 10, Max 100. Possessions. Red Talent Copy Card 1. Talents. Otherworldly Guest, Devil Host Bear, Conqueror's Aptitude, Dominant Swordsmanship, Climate Super Perception. Now, Noir's attributes were much fuller compared to when he first arrived in this world. Especially his charisma, which was a high 94 points. Noir could say this with confidence. He was the most handsome guy across the ocean, however, his once proud physique had been stuck for a long time, seemingly stuck in a bottleneck. Despite this, Noir had grown to an impressive height of over 2 meters, something he couldn't have imagined in his previous life. As Noir admired his physique, Belmere knocked and entered the room. Noir smiled and said, Belmere, you're here. Belmere looked a bit complicated and said, you've grown up so fast, I can't hold you back anymore. Noir quickly shook his head and said, no way, I just want to see a bigger world. Belmere sighed, then smiled again and said, I don't want to hold you back, I just hate to let you go. Noir smiled too, feeling a mixture of emotions. Sailing out at 17 and going to the Grand Line had been Noir's idea for a long time. But he had formed bonds in Kokoyasi village, especially with Nami and the others, that made him reluctant to leave. However, it was Belmere who encouraged him to go on adventures, so Noir finally decided to set sail. There were not many people of note left in the East Blue. To find stronger talents to copy, he had to go to the Grand Line. Besides, according to the story, it was almost certain that Nami would join the Straw Hat Pirates. Noir couldn't just stay behind and cheer her on from afar. He had to get stronger before the story unfolded. Noir packed his belongings, hung the fine-grade sword Pure Heart at his waist, and donned a super cool black and white gradient coat. Fully prepared, Noir stepped out of the house only to find the street crowded with people. Genzo, with his usual stern face and a windmill spinning on his head, stood in front of Noir and said, out there, don't disgrace our village. Noir, touched by the familiar faces, said softly, of course not. The villagers escorted Noir to the shore where a boat was waiting. Noir thanked everyone and said, thank you for seeing me off, I'm leaving now. Najiko and Nami, now young women, hugged Noir's waist and said sadly, brother, take care. Noir patted their heads, then looked at the sobbing Kaide and Naomi and said, why are you crying? I'm not dead yet. Listen, be careful during the bounty hunt and take care of the villagers, okay, Noir instructed. The sisters nodded firmly and shouted, yes, master. Noir finished his goodbyes, boarded the boat, hoisted the sail, and shouted back to the waving villagers, goodbye. Wait for my return. Goodbye. You better make a name for yourself, kid. Stay safe. The villagers cheerfully bid Noir farewell. Belmere, with a cigarette in her mouth and a bright smile, looked extremely dashing. Nami and Nijiko waved frantically. Nijiko's face showed reluctance, but also pride for her brother. Nami, remembering her dream, said to Nijiko, "Brother has set sail to become the strongest in the world. And I want to draw the first complete map of the world. One day, I'll set sail to fulfill my dream, too." After a moment of surprise, Nijiko smiled at the confident girl and said, "I believe in you." Standing at the bow of the boat, Noir waved goodbye, feeling a growing sense of melancholy. This departure was emotionally complex. Not knowing how long he would be on the Grand Line, he knew it would be a long time before he saw everyone again. Sighing, Noir returned to the deck, sat down on a deck chair, and began to plan. According to the map, Noir still had a long way to go before reaching Reverse Mountain, the starting point of the Grand Line, so there was no rush. He wanted to visit a good place in the East Blue first. The Bharati, a floating restaurant where Sanji had worked before he left, and a famous gourmet spot in the East Blue. Remembering the Bharati's reputation, Noir's eyes shone and he drooled slightly. He had often heard of it during his bounty hunts, but had never had the chance to visit. Now he could finally go there and have a proper meal. And maybe check out Sanji's talents. Lazily, Noir's boat sailed away. It was a pleasant trip. But soon Noir felt bored. With nothing to do on a well-stocked ship in the vast ocean, loneliness became his greatest enemy. To pass the time, aboard Noir took out dumbbells from the cabin and began to work out. Meanwhile, on a nearby deserted island, a green-haired young man stood on a large blue rock and looked out to sea. He was wearing a white t-shirt, 3 drop-shaped golden earrings on one ear, and 3 swords at his waist. With half-closed eyes and an irritated expression, Zoro muttered to himself, "Where the hell am I?" Chapter 24. Zoro sat cross-legged on the ground, recalling his master's words just before he left Shimotsuki village. "Zoro, take this map. Follow the directions, and you'll find a town where you can buy supplies." He unfurled the map given by Master Koshiro, rested his chin on his hand, and studied it intently. After a while, he muttered, "I didn't take a wrong turn, did I? But where's the town?" Zoro glanced at the desolate wilderness around him, deeply questioning his place in the world. To make matters worse, after arriving on the island, a wave had capsized his small boat, leaving him with no way back. Just when Zoro was at a loss, not knowing what to do, a sailboat slowly passed by the island. Zoro was momentarily stunned, then shouted joyfully, "Hey, can you stop for a moment?" Noir, who was lifting weights on the boat, was also surprised by the shout. That voice sounds so familiar. Turning around, he saw the familiar green moss head and the 3 swords. Zoro? Noir was shocked. He had just set sail and already ran into someone from the main crew? He hadn't planned on seeking out Zoro. But what was going on? Was he lost again? Since he'd seen him, he couldn't just ignore it. Noir steered the boat to the shore, and the green moss head immediately sprinted toward him. But why was he running the wrong way? Noir watched in disbelief as Zoro, despite starting on a straight path, took a sharp turn and ran off in the opposite direction. Is this even getting lost? This must be some kind of condition? Noir's eyelid twitched, and he shouted, "Over here." After a considerable amount of chaos, Noir finally managed to get Zoro on board. As expected, he was lost. Once on the boat, Zoro laughed with relief and thanked Noir, "Thank you." Noir waved it off and used his system to examine Zoro's abilities. Name: Zoro, heart of the world's greatest swordsman. Golden quality: aiming to be the world's greatest swordsman. His killing intent and willpower rival any swordsman. His swordsmanship talent is at the world's pinnacle, with incredible development and comprehension abilities, giving him an edge over all other swordsmen. Perpetually lost. Purple quality: an extraordinary ability to get lost. Regardless of speed, distance, or guidance, there's a high chance of getting lost and straying off course. 3 sword style master. Purple quality: a self-created 3 sword style, increasing destructive power and attack range. In battles against multiple enemies, the 3 sword styles' offensive and defensive capabilities are enhanced. Restful sleep. Blue quality: tends to become sleepy. Injuries and stamina recover faster during sleep, with excellent sleep quality. Impressive, he had 4 talents. Being perpetually lost was firmly among them, and it was even a standout purple talent. It matched the quality of Zoro's signature 3 sword style. Noir eyed the golden talent in Zoro's list enviously, but unfortunately, he had no golden copy cards left. Apart from the 3 sword style master talent, the rest didn't interest him much. Becoming perpetually lost or sleepy, even with the recovery benefits, wasn't appealing. Thinking of how Zoro on the Straw Hat ship was either training or sleeping made Noir feel hesitant. Zoro noticed Noir's changing expressions and asked curiously, "What's wrong with you?" Noir adjusted his expression and said, "Nothing, I'll drop you off at a town soon." Zoro nodded, his eyes sweeping over Noir. Seeing the sword at his waist, he asked in surprise, "Are you a swordsman?" Noir smiled and nodded, of course. Oh, this should be interesting. Zoro's eyes seemed to ignite with excitement as he grinned, are you strong? Noir quickly guessed what Zoro was thinking and smiled confidently, at least in the East Blue, I haven't lost. Really? Zoro stood up, drew the white long sword from his waist, and said, can you spar with me? Noir raised an eyebrow with interest and drew his sword lightly, do you think you can beat me? Zoro bid down on Wado Ichimonji, drew two plain long swords, and with fighting spirit, declared. For a promise, I will become the world's greatest swordsman, and to do that, I must defeat everyone. Starting with the three-sword style, Zoro was serious. Noir raised his sword to his chest. Zoro took a stance with his three swords, and without a word, they were ready to fight. Biting the sword and lowering his head, Zoro thrust the two swords in his hands outward, then quickly dropped his waist, and the three swords shot forward like a charging bull's horns. The move was incredibly swift, leaving little time for a normal person to react, but Noir's observation haki was constantly active, making this speed insignificant. Bull needle. Zoro's deep shout rang out. Noir raised his sword, swiftly blocking the two blades aimed at his chest, and with a quick force, he easily pushed Zoro back. Zoro, retreating a few steps, looked at Noir in disbelief. This man had effortlessly broken his attack with one hand? But he didn't lose focus. Using his momentum, he crossed the two swords behind him and lunged like a tiger, shouting, Tiger Hunt. The three swords came at him again with overwhelming pressure, but Noir frowned, swinging his sword to block the core of the three-sword style. With a light flick of his sword, Zoro quickly pulled back, narrowly avoiding the blade that brushed past his throat and chin. Damn it, Zoro said angrily. After so many attacks, he hadn't even touched Noir's clothes, but a single counterattack had left him in such a sorry state. The names are good, but they're too flashy, Noir commented, shaking his sword. In battles between swordsmen of the same level, various techniques could indeed increase victory chances. However, Noir's swordsmanship was solidly above Zoro's, rendering his flashy named moves ineffective. Noir had wanted to name his moves, but he was terrible at it, feeling envious of Zoro's creativity. Zoro, driven by an unyielding spirit, bid down harder on Wado Ichimonji, and with a resolute shout, swung his swords again, Onigiri. Noir's eyes brightened. For the first time, he moved to meet the attack, saying, let me show you the difference between us. With a simple upward slash, Noir's sword carried a force that could cut through steel. The clash of swords echoed in the air. Zoro stood, still holding his two swords, but their blades were shattered and scattered on the ground. Noir sheathed his undamaged sword and said, you're not the only one who wants to become the world's greatest, chapter 25. Zoro sat there staring at his broken swords and felt a sudden bitterness rise in his heart. He had lost. He had barely left his master's dojo and already tasted defeat. Silently, Zoro sheathed his Wado Ichimonji and said darkly, there really are many people stronger than me. Noir smiled. It was good that Zoro recognized his own shortcomings. In the original story, Zoro fought without much pressure before meeting the Hawk, leaving no room for growth. Noir leaned down and patted Zoro's shoulder, saying, if you want to become the greatest swordsman in the world, you can't let failure defeat you. Zoro's eyes immediately lit up and he said firmly, of course not. After sheathing his Wado Ichimonji, Zoro looked at Noir and asked, what is your name? Confidently, Noir replied, Kairos D. Noir. I don't just want to be a great swordsman. I want to be the true greatest in the world. The world's greatest? Despite his defeat, Zoro felt his ambition grow stronger. He declared confidently, I am Roronoa Zoro, and I will defeat you to become the greatest swordsman. Noir laughed heartily and said, I hope you really can do that. Noir didn't doubt Zoro's swordsmanship talent, but defeating him, especially with the help of the system, would be almost impossible. Meet an important character, Zoro. Rewards have been issued. Mastery of Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. 1 red talent copy card, plus 1 ode to swordsmanship. Hearing the system's cold prompt, Noir was overjoyed. Another red copy card and a 10-point increase in swordsmanship. Now, his swordsmanship had officially surpassed the 500-point mark, making him capable of fighting strong opponents even in the new world. And Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. Noir was confused and asked the system, is this the Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu I think it is, from Rurouni Kenshin? Could the system actually reward powers from other anime? Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu, which originated from the work Rurouni Kenshin, has been adapted by the system to be suitable for use in this world. Noir was delighted. He had thought that the system could only give rewards from the One Piece world, but now even the swordplay from Rurouni Kenshin was available. It seemed that he would have to find more characters from the original story to get rewards. Seeing Noir's excited expression, Zoro asked curiously, what are you doing? Ahem, nothing. Noir noticed Zoro's tattered clothes and asked, are you out of money? Why do you look so shabby? Zoro, leaning against the wall, said gloomily, I spent all my travel expenses and now I don't know where to earn more. Noir was stunned and asked, aren't you a bounty hunter now? Bounty hunter? What's that? Zoro asked, confused. Noir explained it to him, and Zoro's eyes lit up as he said, from now on, I'm going to earn money doing this. I'll be the strongest hunter in East Blue. Noir pointed at himself with pride and said, by the way, I am the strongest hunter in East Blue. Zoro's face went dark under his green hair. The proud Zoro pretended to be deaf, closed his eyes, and fell asleep. So Noir and Zoro traveled together for a while. Although Zoro was silent as a grave, Noir at least had someone to talk to. Zoro, who liked silence, was almost driven crazy by this talkative guy. Fortunately, after a while, Noir's ship discovered a village, and Zoro quickly ran off the ship to escape Noir's endless chatter. Zoro smiled and waved to Noir, saying, goodbye. Noir reluctantly waved back at his brief companion. With his only sword at his side, Zoro walked down the main street of the village and soon spotted a bustling tavern. Zoro's eyes lit up. Although he knew he had no money, he couldn't resist going inside. Upon entering the tavern, he asked for a drink at the bar. The tavern owner, seeing Zoro's shabby appearance, sneered and asked, hey, do you have money? Don't eat and drink for free here. Facing the owner's skepticism, Zoro calmly replied, I don't have any money, not a single coin. Huh? The owner was about to get angry when suddenly, a loud noise erupted and the tavern door was kicked open. A group of fierce-looking men burst in, grinning at the frightened patrons. Ha ha ha, a bunch of weaklings, hand over your money. Zoro frowned and asked the tavern owner, who are these idiots? The owner covered Zoro's mouth in fear and said, this man has a bounty of 1.2 million belly. He's a pirate who kills and burns. Pirate? Hearing the bounty, Zoro remembered Noir's words and had an idea. Here was his drinking money. Silently, Zoro approached the pirates. The pirate leader saw someone approaching and yelled, what are you doing? Hand over your money. Without a word, Zoro unsheathed his sword and made a quick slash. The pirate leader, who had been boasting just moments ago, had a bloodline appear on his neck. Why? The pirate leader fell to the ground, dead, with a terrified expression on his face. The tavern fell silent. No one dared to speak, all eyes filled with awe as they looked at Zoro. Returning to the bar, Zoro said, now I have money. Give me a drink. Sure, right away. Sitting on the chair, Zoro rested his chin and thought, bounty hunter, a convenient profession indeed. Meanwhile, back on his ship, Noir had no idea about Zoro's actions. He looked anxiously at the sea in front of him. Was he cursed by Zoro? Why did he realize he was off course after sailing for so long? After dropping off Zoro and returning to his route, Noir took a nap on his ship, only to wake up to find that his ship had gone off course. Where was he now? Something felt wrong. Noir, with his heightened sense of weather, noticed that as he sailed into this area, the air seemed to grow thicker. He soon discovered the reason. Not far from his ship, an eerie white fog had silently enveloped the area.